Hello, everybody. Welcome to Talk the Walk here on Boss Rush Network. I'm your host, and Lights Excited Eddie V. Joining me is the celestial brush herself, the Celeste Roberts. Hello.
Hey, how are you, Ed?
I am doing good. And, of course, we got the sophisticated and suave Mr. Shay Kelley. Hello.
Hello, hello. I'm excited again for another Life is Strange episode. So can't wait.
Yes, Eric. Yes, everybody. We are back to talk about Life is Strange, but we're focusing on Life is Strange 2. Just guys, to give you a trigger warning, we are going to be talking about death, drugs, drinking, racism, bigotry, politics, and this is kind of circa 2016. So just want to let you guys know. This game was developed by Don't Not Entertainment once again, and released by published by Square Enix. You guys, I gotta start out asking you, how would having teleconnected powers make your life easier? Celeste, I'm gonna start with you.
I have a really bad habit of whenever I want to take a bath in our master bathroom, I usually take showers in the morning, so all my stuff is in the shower. So I have to scream across the house for Timmy to please go and get me whatever specifically I left in the shower. So it would be really cool if I could bring my stuff to me in the bath.
What about you, Shay?
Well, you know how everyone asks you to help them move. Well, I would definitely be able to use those powers to help you move, and
Aw.
I wouldn't have to break a sweat. Exercise my mind instead of exercising my muscles for aching for 3 days.
I love that.
Uh, for me, it would help me clean and get the stuff done work at work. Be like, do, 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 duh.
Like Mary Poppins style.
Yes,
Hmm.
in a sense. Uh, just a little quick background of Life is Strange 2. Life is Strange 2 is an episodic graphic adventure game developed by Don't Not Entertainment and published by Square Enix European subsidiary. Its 5 episodes were released between September 2018 and December 2019 for Microsoft Windows, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One, and later for Mac OS and Linux. I'm sorry. The main sequel in the Life is Strange series. The game's plot features Hispanic American brothers Sean and Daniel as they travel along the U.S. West Coast as fugitives from the police after the younger brother discovers his telekinetic abilities. In the game, which is played from a third person perspective, Sean must make crucial decisions that will lead to different branches in the storyline, while serving as a surrogate parent for Daniel. With the intention and ambition to be more expensive than the original Life is Strange, Life is Strange 2 is written in a classic American road movie template where the player will encounter multiple characters and new environments. The writing team at Don't Not included American writer Christian Devine and uh, including American writer Christian Devine, are huge fans of road stories in books and films such as Stand By Me, Into the Wild, Of Mice and Men, and uh, Carrots on the Road. Is that it?
Uh, John or Jack Kerouac, I believe.
Period.
I could be wrong. This is from this is from the Life is Strange wiki.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
we're not making this up.
And I did also see that they're influenced by Gone Home, which is also another Talk the Walk episode. And I wrote down, let's see here, that the Steve Gaynor and Carla Zimona, the creators, helped write
Mhm.
some of this. So,
Oh, thanks for that.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
Hmm.
okay. Writers Michael Koch, Royal Barbet, and Jean-Luc Cano have been traveling around the northwest coast and the United States to gather inspiration. For episodes one sceneries, the team went hiking in Washington and took photos as a reference. Creating the sceneries for the game was a challenge because the team had never worked on that type of environment before. During their traveling, they tried to meet a lot of people on the fringe parts of society in order to gather realistic impressions and to be able to show how hard it is to live as outcasts through their game's protagonists Sean and Daniel. They also went to Mexico to do research on the Diaz brothers' Mexican descent. In an interview prior to the release of the game, Michael Coach revealed that one of the major inspirations for Life is Strange 2 was Brody, a photographer known for having train hopped across the USA for 4 years by capturing images of the people he met along the way. So, yes, so we're going to get into um, this discussion because how did you guys feel the transition of this game where Life is Strange kind of dealt with the time mechanic and this one is dealing with like telekinesis slash supernatural powers? Shane, your thoughts?
Um, well, so doing some research, I like it almost seems like trauma is a trigger here for getting these powers. So, as in like the first game, um, Chloe was shot, and that Max kind of got her time rewind powers, or I don't know if they were activated or if she already had them, or whatever the case is. And then in this case, we got a gunshot. Um, so um, I believe like it started out, pretty good pacing, and I believe it ramped up fairly quickly, in my opinion, for the game, and it almost, I want to say, it it I don't want to say it was over dramatic, but it just seemed like boom, we gotta run away. As we explained this more, we got a flight. You have to get going. So it just seems a little rushed later on. So that was my opinion on how this first portion went. So
Okay, so that's what do you think of the time mechanic switching to a telekinesis? How it's a new story, new characters, new powers. What did you think about it?
What's interesting about this Life is Strange is the person you're playing as is not the one who has these abilities. That's a big
yeah,
difference. You are not in charge of the telekinesis. You're kind of at your brother's mercy. And I'm assuming people listening to this have played Life is Strange too. If not, you're in for a lot of spoilers. So I recommend you play it before listening to this episode. But I have to agree with Shane. Some of it did start feeling a little rushed. And so this game, like we mentioned with the trigger warnings, it covers a lot of topics that I think were that are still being discussed today, but I felt like they were used or discussed more during elections in 2016, especially like build the wall, a lot of bigotry, um, racism against the Hispanic cultures. This game touches on so much, and I feel like I don't know how to put it. I feel like they were trying to cover all of these really important topics, but it felt, at some parts, it felt a little forced, if that
Hmm.
makes any sense. Like not as authentic as I would have enjoyed it. But I guess that's kind of hard with a game where you're dealing with telekinesis, right? It's a little fantastical.
yes.
Yeah. I think this was kind of a better power wise than the time mechanic because um it just felt like the last Life is Strange, like there could have been a better way to let you know what you needed to do to use your time mechanics to fix some stuff. And of course, they're like, "Oh, I can't use it at this time." But it's just like I'm a person that deals with time. I should be able to use it at any time that I want to with no consequences. Because why is it when I use it at this time, this affects me? But then when I use it at other times, because it's part of the story, nothing happens to me. It's just that I use it. This one, it really feels like if uh Daniel used a lot of the telekinetic powers, his blood, he's gonna have a bloody nose, you know. And it kind of just felt like okay, I could understand that because you're using your body to control something and getting powerful and trying to learn, but that is the consequences to it. With the first Life is Strange, um, the your character, it kind of feels like after she took a picture of the blue butterfly, that gave her powers. This one, it feels like it just arose out of something, that he always had it, but it took something of the first episode to trigger it and everything. So I kind of feel like this one is
So
better power wise than the last one. Oh, go
yeah,
ahead, Shay.
I was gonna say also interesting.
Excuse me.
You said bloody nose. So Max got bloody nose when she used her time rewind or fast forward powers,
Mhm.
and doing a lot of research for this episode, a lot of people had mentioned that Daniel, when he uses his powers, seems to have that cough. So there, people are saying that this is possibly his like side effect is this cough. So especially in episode 2, he coughs a lot. He gets sick at his grandparents. So um, yeah, so maybe that there's something to that having some kind of side effect when you use these powers. So
Which we will get into because that side effect gets literally thrown out into the garbage when it gets later on in the game. And I'm just like,
could depend on the climate.
wait a minute. Yes. Uh, so you guys, where should we start? I know we're gonna start by episode 1, but character wise, do you like Daniel or Esha? Did you like this duo of brothers? In this game, I could actually tell you, not Sean, Daniel was getting on my nerves, and Daniel was just like the dialogue for Daniel felt so repetitive because he kept blaming himself and just like doing this stuff and saying that he's to blame, and it's just like, okay, we get the guilt trip, I get it already, let's move on. We got to run. I kind of felt like the writing between those two was kind of repetitive and dull in the first beginning. That to the point that they just became literally annoying. Um, in a sense. So that's your thoughts about that, Yoshua?
I don't know if it's because I don't have children. I don't know what it is. I have done summer camps as a job. I've worked with kids. I have two younger sisters. I have younger cousins. I do not have any children of my own. I don't intend to. Maybe a parent. I'm eager to hear your thoughts, Shane, because you're a parent. I was about to wish that I could abandon Daniel in the woods and leave him to fend for himself. And it's one of those things where I understand he's a child and he's experienced severe trauma that even most adults have not experienced. But have you played A Plague Tale: Innocence, either of
yeah,
you?
yes.
I'm working on that. I'm going to go back to it because Requiem was about to drop and I need
Yes.
to get ready for that one.
So in that one, it's kind of an escort mission as well, where you have Hugo, the little brother, and again, it's a child. I understand that kids do not think the same way as adults, but I'm a very like driven, like we got to go, please follow the rules, please do what we have to do. I try to be compassionate, but Daniel was very annoying. He was very bratty. At some points I thought he was going to use his powers against Sean. I felt bad for Sean, honestly. He got beaten up so many times. He's worried about his brother. He's what, 16, 17 years old, and he's having to take on
Hmm.
these massive responsibilities. The weight of the world is on his shoulders, and Daniel's not making it any easier. Honestly, I probably would have had enough, and because Sean has experienced trauma too that he's not able to process. Yes, I mean he's still kind of a child in a way as well. I would have abandoned Daniel in the damn woods. You know what? You have telekinesis, you figure it out. It was just so annoying.
Shay.
So twofold here. First off, Sean did not tell Daniel about the situation fully. He didn't know his dad was dead. And maybe had he told him, this whole thing would have been different. He could have been more angry. He could have been, his whole attitude could be changed in this whole first episode. Secondly, being the oldest of 5 other siblings, I at 14 I babysat all 5 of them, and to know that you are not their parent, Yes, you're older, but they don't have to respect you because of that. And it's kind of hard as a older sibling to try and steer someone that is your sibling and not your son or grandson or whatever the
Mhm.
case is. It's hard to steer them in the right direction when you aren't fully matured yourself to do those things. So trying to deal with Daniel, um, yeah, he had his friends, he had his life, and then at the same time Sean lost his friends, his life. So it's hard to be brave and then try to do all those things for your younger sibling and try to keep him in a good mood and not fully knowing that his dad's dead because his he still thinks he's alive, and so that changes the whole tone of how it would have ran if it was the other way around. So I don't know. It just me. I have pretty good patience, so I and also as a parent, it's just a little different seeing it that in that light. So
That's
I think I
good.
could tolerate it more.
But I think for me it was just like when is Daniel gonna come to a point and realize that you know we're on the run because something happened to our dad. I'm like, we've never gone out camping. Okay, I understand you got needs. I understand you wish you want to have your life back. But if you're gonna be a fugitive on the run and not showing off your powers is something that Daniel should have took heed of. I can't be doing all of this because this might lead into this trouble. But like I said, this is what the writers wrote. This is how they created their characters. So let's get into the first episode. Uh, After the sudden death of his father in the hands of a police officer, and said officer ended up dead by inex- inexplicable inexplicable, sorry about that, reasons, Sean Diaz flees his hometown in Seattle, USA, along with his brother Daniel, fearing separation and being accused of a crime they did not commit. With barely any resources and Daniel not knowing what happened to his father, the brothers sleep in the streets and spend one night in the forest. The next morning, Sean and Daniel make a stop at a gas station to get supplies and are recognized by the owner, who holds Sean's captive and calls the police. So we're gonna stop there. So you kind of see when the game starts, Sean is walking with his friend, and they're deciding to go to this party. But they got to bring like drugs and food, and he's thinking about bringing weed and everything. Kind of finds out that Daniel's been in his room. That causes a kind of argument rift. Uh, but his dad comes out and kind of stops it. It's just telling Sean that you got to be patient with your brother and everything. And as time goes on, Sean go not Sh- yeah sh- no Daniel. Daniel goes outside and he's getting bullied by this bully in the neighborhood. Um, Daniel comes out um, and tries to stop it and everything. Later on, that incident leads up to the police coming, and with their dad coming out, the dad gets shot because the police wants him to freeze for some apparent reason. Uh, but Daniel reacts to see like he says no, and he lifts his hands out, and that's when his powers kind of arise, and it causes all of this. So the policeman dies, and the dad dies. When Sean realizes what's going on, because Sean doesn't also know what happened. All he knows is that the dad is dead. So us as a player, we see it, but not Sean. He actually doesn't know what happens. Um, they go on they go on this hike, but the gas station is kind of like the big story point in episode one, uh before they meet another character in this game. uh what did you guys do in
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh, Ed. Aw. So what did we do? I guess like how did we react and everything? Ed's frozen in very dramatic
yes.
pose right now. Oh, you
Oh,
froze
there
for a
we
bit, my
go.
friend.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Suspense.
Sorry.
So what's the question?
What did you do in the gas station? I should say.
Oh, so I don't know if you mentioned this, but the neighbor kid Brett, he falls down on a rock, and
Yeah.
I don't know if it's temporarily paralyzed or forever paralyzed, but the cop sees that and assumes that Daniel and Sean harmed the neighbor kid. So
Mhm.
also this cop he's obviously green. He's
Mhm.
probably never dealt with a situation like this. I don't know if it's a him problem or a poor training problem. He does not handle the situation well at all. And again, this game, it deals with a lot of real life circumstances that we hear about in the news and possibly have even experienced ourselves. This cop should not have shot Esteban Diaz, the dad. It was handled completely poorly. And then with Daniel's powers being activated with that quake, the cop is flung against his cop car and he's
Mhm.
killed somehow. I guess the trauma. But it's really sad. You go from seeing these kids living an everyday American life, kind of like the first Life is Strange, and then shit gets real. Really scary things start happening, and then these brothers escape. I I have to ask. I know I'm veering off a little bit. Would you have
No, go ahead.
stayed or would you have fled? Like I understand it's a flight or fight response, and it's like panicking. And how do you even explain what the hell happened? And I guess Sean, being not an adult but the adult in that situation, he would have been blamed. And how do you explain that there was a tremor? I don't know where it came from. Oh,
I was thinking about that. I think I would have stayed because I have to explain that this cop shot my dad. My dad was unarmed. We weren't messing with this kid. This kid came to our property. We were on our property. We didn't go to theirs to cause the drama. He came to ours. So they're the ones that caused. The little boy, is the one that caused all of this to start. And he decided to mess with my brother, which the cop saw, uh, or whatever the cop took as an incident, led up to the death of my father. So I want to, because like your our dad is dead. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to give the story, or my side of the story. We can't be held responsible or anything because we didn't cause no trouble. We was the boy allowed to come to our yard? No. When has that I would have been like, when have we allowed him to come to our yard? Because we're not gonna let someone come to our yard to mess with our child that way.
yeah, and I'm kind of maybe Shane, you or Ed. I know that Daniel was playing with like some zombie blood for his Halloween costume because it takes place a few days before Halloween,
Hmm.
and somehow he got it on Brett. Like, did he slip and fall into Brett's arms and get it on him? Because that's what the neighbor kid is fussing about.
I don't recall.
Yeah.
Because that's what starts the whole thing. Is he's
Yeah.
upset, he's fussing Daniel for getting the fake blood on him, and he says some pretty horrible things. I,
Oh
I
yeah.
want to say he's like, go back to your country. It's like, well, no, they're American citizens first of
Yeah.
all.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't remember the circumstance, but I do remember the zombie blood being a factor in it.
But still the fact, wouldn't his the neighbor have to get into our yard for that to happen?
Unless Sean, I mean, not Sean, I get their names confused. I know I use Sean and Daniel interchangeably. Daniel, unless he went into his yard, I don't know. I can't. I
Right,
mean,
because
it's all, yeah.
everything takes place on the Diaz family yard. It don't take place on the other boy's yard.
Yeah, and you're playing as Sean getting ready for a Halloween party, so
Yeah.
you don't see exactly what happens, but yeah, it goes from bad to worse, really,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
really
this
quickly.
is this is what I was talking about being very rushed, escalated quickly, from fake blood up to we gotta flee, flee the scene. It just uh, though I enjoy it, it just didn't entirely make sense to do it somehow like this. I think there has to be a stronger purpose of why they had to leave, and um, not to say it wasn't done, um, you know, in okay, but it just wasn't, to me, wasn't a this we have to run away because
Hmm.
of this. But
I
maybe
yeah.
being a their race uh, could play a factor in their mindset on why they wanted to
Mhm.
flee the scene. So
I, I think it. I see what you're saying about it being rushed, but I guess I'm also thinking of, okay, like not to be dramatic. I know this is a different situation. Just how fast life can change in front of your eyes. Like
that's
imagine
true. That's true.
you're I don't know, like you're at a mall or something, and this happens more often than it should. You're at a mall enjoying your life,
Yeah.
and somebody walks in with a weapon, and you have to make split decisions, or just horrible things like that. But I see, like for a game, it does feel rushed, but I think it's also a reflection of that does happen in real life, where your life
But
in a
and when you
millisecond.
toss in, superpowers, that definitely can make you do some, not sane things. You got to think it through, and I don't think they totally thought through the whole thing. But again, how do you explain that
That's
to
true.
authorities?
Mhm.
So, and if we go back to, I was going to say, we should talk about somewhat the life in the house. The mom is gone. Um, Sean's best friend is Layla, and I feel Layla should have been a stronger character. I think in this game, um, and then also them, the dad talking about what the place was called in Mexico. Uh,
Puerto Lobos.
yeah,
Puerto Lobos.
yes, talking about the place where he grew up and wanting to go back there someday. So there's a lot I think going on with this episode, trying to build up to the rest of the episode. So, um, and then we'll get back to your question, Ed. I think after we
I
discuss
know
a
we
little
just
bit.
there's so much, like you could spend an
We
hour on each
we
episode.
just did what the game did. We rushed to the gas station.
Yes, yeah, you, you're walking in the wilderness. It's beautiful. It's Washington State in the fall.
Oh
It's
yes,
gorgeous. I had issues with the gas station situation because
yeah,
I was honest. You have a decision. You can steal supplies or you can pay for them. I paid for them. I
I did
um
too.
hmm
and what I'm confused about is the lady working behind the register is so kind, and I believe she is the wife of the owner, so I guess she's co-owner.
Yeah.
And the co-owner recognizes the boys while they're eating outside and accuses them of stealing. I'm thinking, could this not have been solved by his wife saying, I have proof that they paid for it, I have a receipt?
And,
I don't understand that part
I
at
and the
all.
thing and the thing about it is the dad went into the shop before he came back outside uh to like confront them. So I
Is
don't
it just
know how.
is it just because he recognizes their faces from the news? Has the news spread that quickly? I think the man, whatever his name is, I don't have kind words for him.
yeah.
Whatever. Yeah, he's supposed to be like this beacon of kindness and greatness in the community because he volunteers. So he's just horrible. And Timmy, okay, so Timmy does not really play these games. Timmy's my boyfriend, and he was watching me play it. He got really agitated for this part when that shop owner was saying very racist things, and you have an option whether you want to kick him or something. Timmy got fired up. He goes, "Kick him in the face. Kick him." Because he got really upset about how racist that guy was being.
Yeah, and maybe he thought maybe there's a reward, maybe possibly, keeping him there, and maybe at the same time he has underlying, racist. Well, apparently, if he says this stuff, um, and he handcuffs him to the was it the heater?
Yes, he's
Yeah.
So
kidnapping these
this is a
people.
16-year-old kid getting handcuffed in the gas station, and racist remarks are flying out of the guy's mouth, and there's no way that would be legal anywhere. So
Did you, when he approached them at the picnic bench, did you also think, is this guy a pedophile? Because the way he approaches them is a little creepy.
yeah,
He
I
was
thought,
creepy.
yeah,
yeah,
go
Oh,
ahead.
I he was creepy. But I didn't think he was a pedophile because he wasn't like looking. I think if they would have did so many face cuts to Daniel, and he was just like looking at him, licking his lips, or just like doing body movements and stuff at camera angles, I would say that's when he was just kind of predatory, like a pedophile. But he was just really, just the way that he just came up and just had this hard rush, nasty tone with them and everything.
Mhm.
That's just when I was just like, okay, he's not gonna be. He's gonna be someone that is gonna be the first obstacle that we're going to go against and everything. Um, because you do meet another character um, before you actually leave, because he's a news reporter and you're kind of reading some of his stories. And when like when that whole situation like kind of concludes, you kind of hop in the car with him. You and Sean and Daniel hop in the car with them and leave after they escape from the gas station. In a sense,
Hmm. His name's
Um,
Brody.
Brody, yeah.
Brody.
And
Yeah.
yeah.
I was gonna say also, did you notice the blue truck leaving the gas station? Um, it's pretty. It looks exactly like the blue truck that you'll see later in episode 4 that picks Sean up. It's got the
Mm,
logs and everything in the back of it.
hmm.
So I thought that was a cool Easter egg if that is the case that it's the same truck. So
Hmm. It's a
Hmm.
good
Interesting.
observation. I wonder, based on what we talked about with the guy Mike Brody, that photographer, I wonder if
mm,
that's Brody's namesake.
yeah, I was thinking the same thing because they said you know he he roamed the U.S. for like 4 years taking
Hmm.
pictures of all sorts of different people, um, hopping trains and hobos and other people. And then also there was a lot of, if you notice, a lot of symbols too, the what they call hobo
Excuse me.
symbols uh,
Hmm.
for communications in different areas in the game. And I think they also use that in Before the Storm as well on the train as well, where they just
Mm-hmm.
have different meanings for the symbols that they put on.
Hmm.
So
Well, Sean escapes capture with the help of Daniel, and the brothers find help in a stranger named Brody. Sean discusses his situation with Brody and decides to get out of the country and go to Puerto Lobos, Mexico, his father's hometown, and to tell Daniel the truth about their father. Brody gets the brothers a motel room and parts ways with them. In the motel room, Daniel angrily manifests his teleconnected powers after finding out about his father's death before Shaw could tell him. Shaw manages to calm him down, and the next morning, the brothers take a bus towards the south. And that is episode 1. I actually, out of everybody, aside episode 4, because we're going to get, no, episode 5, because we're going to get into episode 5 a little bit later. I'm excited for episode 5. I think Brody was kind of like the best and lovable character in this game.
Hmm.
Number one. Uh, the second is the girl that Sean meets in
Cassidy.
episode 3, Cassidy. Yeah, and I think she's like the second. I really love just the actually I love the voice actor who did her. Um, and just her mannerisms and how she is. Like those two characters were like the best characters in the game until episode 5. Um, but what did you guys think about it? Did you think that Sean should have told Daniel way in advance instead of Daniel finding out on the news what's happened to his dad? Shane, what you think?
He definitely should have mentioned it to him. Yeah, it could have been hard, but the longer you wait, the worse it's going to be. So, and maybe again, this could change his attitude in the whole episode. But then again, we might not have a game, so they could have stayed there and nothing would have happened.
What about you, Celeste?
I agree. He probably should have told him, but it's also one of those things where that is an incredibly traumatic experience, and I guess that's he doesn't even know where to begin, how is he processing it, how does he explain this, what does he do? um, I guess he's also like, I got to get away from the threat. I got to get it as far
Mhm.
away as possible. I have to find some kind of stability, and then I'll tell him. And I think he was going to tell him in the motel after Daniel took his bath, but then Daniel was watching TV and it came on the news. So I think it was just, it was ruined.
Yep.
Yeah, I kind of felt like I I think Sean was having too much stuff going through his head. Like my dad was the leader of this family. You know, all I wanted was Sean just to stay out of my room and kind of mind his own business and everything. And then we kind of find out stuff that Daniel and Sean used to do as kids, like way back in the day. But as Sean grew up, he kind of separated himself from Daniel. Um, because you want to, and it happens a lot in families when you have a brother or sister, you know and you grown up with them. You guys did a lot of things together. When you start making your own friends and those friends, and you start getting older, things change. And that affects the family relationship that you would have with that person. So, they'll have their own, they start developing their own friends, and you start having your own friends, and things just happen. uh for this one, I think Sean should have told Daniel from the get go why they were running away and everything. Because I'm just like, who goes on a trip without really no clothes, no money really, no kind of like sleeping bag or camp stuff. Like he didn't get the necessaries until they got to the gas station.
I did like that at the beginning of the game, you can do save money or you can spend money um, before this all occurs. And then, if depending on how much money you have, that's how much money you can bring with you
Mm,
um, to the gas station to use or on the trip itself. Which,
yes.
just small things like that, I kind of enjoyed that kind of stuff. So,
I think there's also a decent age gap. They're about 8 years apart. Sean's about eight
Mm-mm.
years older than Daniel, so I'm the oldest, like Shane, and my middle sister's 3 years younger than I am, and my youngest sister's 6 years younger than I am. So, and I know people who are about 15 to 20 years older than some of their
yeah.
siblings.
I'm 14 years older than my sister. So,
Yeah, so there are different phases of their lives, obviously, and I get it. I didn't want my sisters going into my room and touching my stuff and bothering. um, but yeah, yeah.
Yes. Um, One more thing I just gotta let everybody know. There's some side kind of gameplay to this, where Sean, when he gets inspired to draw, you can start drawing stuff that he sees. And if you're playing on the Xbox or a PlayStation version, you get like an achievement or a trophy for it. Um, but it's kind of like something to give Sean to do to keep up his drawing skills, because he really is a great artist. He really wants to be this kind of big artist. And so him like sketching and everything was really kind of cool that they like kind of broke up the not I won't say monotony of it, but kind of break up where you're able to actually give Sean something to do and be rewarded for it.
Hmm.
I was gonna say that like most of the Life is Strange episodes or games themselves have like peaceful moments where you sit down or you are trying to look at the scenery. So I think this is kind of that their mechanic to kind of sit down, look at the scenery, draw the scenery, um, try to play some of their music. You know,
Hmm.
they always have great music, so this is another opportunity to use that.
Did you
So
enjoy that mechanic, you both? The drawing
yeah,
mechanic?
I did. Yeah.
yeah,
It took a
I
while
did.
because it took a while because when you're beginning it, you're not seeing what he's actually doing. Like the lines and stuff is not appearing. But
Hmm.
the more you just start going, controlling it, then stuff starts revealing. You be
Yep.
like, oh, okay, I see. Um, with it. Uh, Also, everybody, I forgot because I believe it's episode 2 when they get a dog. Uh,
One actually.
One.
okay. So one. they actually get a dog. And it kind of play if you decide to keep it and give it a name, it plays a big role in the next episode. Um, did you guys keep the dog?
Hmm.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I
I didn't
did too.
realize, I couldn't remember that you can choose to not keep the dog.
I thought you could.
Maybe. I know you can
I
choose the name. I picked Mushroom.
Yeah,
mushroom. Yeah,
yeah. So, um,
you
but
choose
let's jump
something.
into yeah. Let's get into episode 2. A month after the incident in Seattle, Sean and Daniel had taken shelter in an abandoned house deep in the woods. As Daniel becomes increasingly ill, Sean decides to risk traveling to the nearby town of Beaver Creek in order to seek help from their distant grandparents, Claire and Stephen Reynolds. During their stay at the Reynolds home, Daniel uses his powers to stop the next door neighbor, Chris Erickson, from falling from his treehouse, inadvertently causing the latter to believe in his superpowers as the two become friends. So that is a lot. But when they get to this home, uh, you know, Sean is teaching Daniel how to use his powers, like throwing the stones and then to skip on the water. Um, they're in this abandoned house and everything. But you actually start, it got these cans to make for them to make food and everything. But you kind of start understanding that family too. How the dad was and how the kids start responding to the dad, and everything. And it's just like, oh, this is kind of tragic in a sense. Uh, but then something happens because the dog that you get ends up, going out to the bathroom and never coming back. So you have to go out and find out what happened to it, trying to get clues and everything. And it comes to find out that I believe it was a mountain lion or something.
Yeah,
Uh,
Puma, cougar, something like that.
yeah,
yeah, oh, I think a cougar, probably.
which
Uh,
is all the
uh,
same. So
Oh, okay. I don't know. Okay,
yeah,
thank you for that, Shane, because I was
yeah.
like,
yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah. This exotic cat, let's just say a cougar. Uh,
It's not Joe Exotic.
Bigger than normal house-sized cat.
yeah, ends up ends up you see him end up killing the dog, Mushroom. Let's go with that. We're killing Mushroom, and I think you could do something to him, or you could let him get away. Um, so that like that kind of stress, but you end up seeing you don't either see the mushroom actually get killed, but you see kind of the aftermath what the cougar did to Mushroom, the dog. And how did you guys feel about that? Because that was a major kind of emotional beat that they were going for, to get the players to be like, is what this cougar did anger you, or was it just like shocking and you just didn't know how to respond back? Celeste, thoughts in
I
that part?
wasn't surprised. I mean, it was very heartbreaking, but I'm like, y'all are in the wilderness. There are indications that there are bears and other wildlife in this area. You can come across trees and inspect them, and it looks like I don't know what a grizzly bear live in. I'm not sure what type of bear lives up there. Black bear, grizzly
Mm.
bear.
um,
Um, I'm not sure.
brown bear, most likely.
Brown bear. Okay. And I figured, okay, y'all are in the wilderness. I figured something was going to happen. I hate to be pessimistic, but I'm thinking y'all are susceptible to the elements.
Hmm.
You're at the mercy of nature. I was very sad, but I wasn't surprised.
Uh, Shane, I will say this. I actually thought it was a wolf. I was expecting a wolf to kill the dog. I didn't expect a Zyda cat to do it. Shane, your thoughts?
So, I believe this. Um, I think this has upset Daniel a lot. Not only because okay, this dog is in his life now, it's not, but it felt like something was taken away from him again. The cougar represents, I think, the cop who shot his dad, the dog.
Mhm.
So I think it's just reliving what just happened. His dad getting shot and taken away. Now the cougar has now killed this dog and taken him away. So
Man.
Yes.
Oh,
Uh,
Eddie, I think you brought
good.
up a really good point about the wolves. You want to touch on that
oh yeah,
a little
yeah.
bit?
Well, Daniel and Sean are considered as wolves. They're a wolf pack, and they have this howl together and everything. So when they're, I think it's in episode one where they're in the woods, they're kind of talking about it, and they're just like wolf pack howl, "Arr!" And so at different times, those two will how, but it also affect your choices. So when you make a choice, they'll show who is affecting. The big wolf represents Sean, the little wolf represents Daniel, and if it affects both of them, both wolves will be affected. And you'll see on the screen to like memorize who did what and who it affected. You'll hear a little chime, and you'll see those two wolves running, or that type of wolf running and everything.
I was gonna say too. He says Inano a lot in the game to his brother, and I believe that means dwarf.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm.
apparently the guy that does Sean's voice actually says that to his I think it was foster brothers. He would call them
Yeah.
that. So he used it
Oh,
in the game.
that's
Um,
sweet.
yeah, and then also something I don't know if this was in this portion or if this was in the Mount Rainier area in the first section, but they come across mushrooms on the side of a tree, and he he calls it a clicker, which is the from Last of Us. So it's kind of an Easter egg to the Last of Us because the mushrooms kind of look like the face of the clickers. So
Oh,
Yeah.
there's a
okay.
lot of game references in here, of course, because it's it is a game. I was gonna say
Yes.
like I think they reference well Minecraft's referenced a lot in here,
Hmm.
and I do have another game, but I'll mention it later because it comes in episode 4. So
Okay. The next day, Christopher. Okay, so they end up meeting the grandparents, and
Karen's
everything.
parents specifically to specify.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, and uh, boy, what kind of parents they are! I did not like them. They were so there. Those are because the thing about it is those are kind of the parents that I deal with at my job, and I was just like, you are so suburban and so
don't hurt
it's
people's
so
feelings like that, Ed. You're so
it's
suburban.
You're so suburban.
they
Strong,
they are
strong language right there.
they're so because sometimes they get very rude and very thinking that they know what is best. When I'm like, you have no experience in the retail, so you don't know what goes on, how we do stuff, and everything. You think you can say something and stuff magically happens. It doesn't go that way. I know people who say, "Well, isn't that a Karen?" No, these are different because this mom and dad, I was just like, I know they kind of care for Daniel, but they feel like because of what because of what happened with with their mom and with their dad, they kind of feel like there's a certain kind of resentment there. It exists. And I'm just like, I do not like parents who have a resentment for kids who have nothing to do with their own kid and decisions that were made. Don't put your resentment on kids
Mhm.
and everything. They're looking for help. Now, yes, they could have called the police and knew what was going on, but they I think they kind of recognize that hey, they really need help. These are our grandkids and we are a family. Daniel needs help, so let's help him and everything. So um
And I guess
what
it's
did you
important
guys
to
think?
mention that the mom is not present in their lives right now, or
Yes,
they haven't been for years. So, and they don't know why.
yes. Uh, but what did you guys think about this part? What did you think about the parents? Just this section right here before we move on.
Um,
S-
I'm
Shay.
just gonna say like it it must have been confusing. They're seeing their grandchildren that they haven't seen in years. Where's the where's the parents? Well, I'm sure they found out about their dad somehow before they had arrived. And I guess even being suburban, Ed, I think
Hmm.
it was nice of them to take them in and shield them from the cops that inevitably knock on their door. So,
Yes. Celeste.
I I I don't find them that horrible. I think they're happy to see their grandchildren, but they do indicate they know what has gone. I mean, of course, they don't have all the answers, but they understand that Esteban's dead, and they like, okay, imagine if I imagine myself in that situation where I'm just enjoying my life, and then some relatives I haven't seen come to my door, and I know that they're fugitives technically. I mean, they're innocent until proven guilty, right? But
Yeah.
they did run away from this, and now nobody knows what's going on. It makes them look like they did it. By hiding them, you're kind of complicit with their situation. So that's an awkward situation to be in, because you haven't seen them in years, you don't know what's going on. You could be implicated in that situation, you could go to jail. I
Hmm.
mean, they indicate you can talk to Claire a lot, and she says something about Esteban was a little different. I don't know what that means. I don't know what he and Karen were like in their earlier days. We don't see that side. She doesn't hate him, but she talks about his ways were different. I don't know if she just is that a subtle racist comment. That's what I couldn't tell. Like, is she talking about because he's Mexican, of Mexican heritage, or was it his personality? I don't really know, but they do love their grandchildren, and they want to protect them, but they also don't want them to go outside much. They don't want them to
yep.
go and
Hmm.
do things like normal kids. I think they're just confused. Like, I have to say, I don't know what I would do in that situation. Like, if
Yeah.
I don't have grandchildren, but I have godsons, and imagine them showing up at my door. I'm close to them. It's not like I haven't seen them in years, but hey, Celeste, we're running away from the law. Can you let us hide out at your house? I don't know. It's a complicated
But
decision.
also not having little kids around the house probably just or any family coming to visit at all is probably a big change there to try to
Mhm.
accommodate. So,
Hmm.
you kind of want to, okay, what do you guys have for breakfast? I don't remember anymore what kids eat,
Yes, yeah, like
Um, just trying to get them a place to stay and get them some clothes. And so uh, just, I think the accommodation and surprise is probably shocking and over time, needs to be, you know, familiarized with everyone. But I don't think they get that chance because I don't know how long they were there, but I don't think it was too long. Um,
No, it
like a
wasn't too
week.
long. Yeah.
yeah, because in that time, what the bookshelf fell on what's his name, the grandpa
Steven.
Stephen, and I think doesn't it he reveal then Daniel reveal he has the powers to lift it off of him, or just does it
Uh,
without?
you can decide. I think that's a
Oh
choice
yeah,
you can make. Like, do you want to
Yeah.
show them
yeah,
what he can do, or do you want to try to pull him out yourself? I use the powers. What did y'all use?
yeah. Why not?
I uh I think I pulled them out. I don't think I used powers in it um for it.
Okay.
So well let's see.
And Chris, they also meet the neighbor Chris.
Yes. The next day, Chris invites the brothers where Sean meets the homeless Trez, sisters Cassidy and Finn. Once back at the house, Daniel convinces Sean to assist him in searching their mother's room, where they come across a letter expressing her concerns about her sons following the Seattle incident. Moments later, Claire returns home with Steven and confronts the brothers over violating her rules and trust. During the ensuing argument, Steven leaves to his workroom, where he becomes pinned underneath his long neglected cupboard. After Steven is pulled free, Beaver Creek's sheriff arrives at their home in search of Sean and Daniel, causing Claire to distract them at the door while the brothers flee the house. During their escape, Chris can either help guide them toward an alternate escape route, discover that he never had powers after Daniel flips a police car, or become injured by said car. Afterwards, the brothers jump aboard a train heading out of Beaver Creek. So,
Whoa, yeah,
uh,
it's a heavy episode.
Yeah.
yes.
I was going to say too. Do we discuss the scene with Cassidy and Finn, um, and going to get a Christmas tree?
Okay, that was so risky. I was like red alert, do not leave the house. Do not go into town. Your faces are probably on the news. You're going to get caught. And
Yep.
I get it. I think what irritated, okay, this is where Daniel, I get it. He's a kid.
Hmm.
It's like Sean and the grandparents have been telling you the gravity of this situation. Come on, let's go into the store. Let's go into the Christmas market. It's like,
Yep.
oh my God, oh my God. They don't get caught, but that was that what y'all were thinking too?
Well, I don't know. So he goes with Chris and what's Chris?
Charles?
Charles.
Yeah.
And Chris is the next door neighbor who befriends Daniel and Sean. And Chris we'll talk about later in his portion of it.
Hmm.
But I they go and get a Christmas tree, or go try to bring the red truck and get a Christmas tree at this market, and that's where they meet Finn and Cassidy, who are um, you know I want to say hobo like, based on all we've talked about. They're train hoppers. They don't stay in one place at any given time longer than a couple months. So um, they interact with them. She, I believe, plays guitar for them, and then kind of flirty. And then also, this is where they meet. I think his name's Nick. Nick is the guy that's one of the vendors there, and he gets in an argument with Finn and Cassidy. And remind me to tell you later of a theory about Nick as well, when we get to the uh, other Chris episode. Um, but yeah, I think that whole they kind of have an argument, and it's, even though Nick is supposed to be this upstanding citizen, he kind of makes them feel pretty bad, and some words are exchanged, and they leave, and then I think that's when they pick out a Christmas tree, and they head back. So it's a smaller scene, but it's still pretty impactful
Mm.
for
Yeah,
this.
cause I think Daniel was just like, I need a friend companion. I need some companionship from someone my age because
Yeah.
I'm I'm dealing with Sean and his stuff, but
Hmm.
I'm a kid. I want to have fun. I want to be able to talk to somebody
Mhm.
that's of my age, and so Chris is that supplement for that, that fixes
Yeah.
that spot for him and
and
everything.
and I think, like, okay, the normalcy of wanting to have a good holiday, and you take the steps to have this good holiday. You go and you pick out this Christmas tree. That, for me, at least in both situations, where we'll talk about the Chris and Charles situation later, but it's a band-aid to cover over a wound, and
Mm-hmm.
normalcy, but it's not going to be normal ever again. But you're trying to keep it um, in tradition of what you usually do, and you want to keep doing that regardless of what is the events that have occurred. So
Yeah. Um, I know for me, like that portion was kind of cool and everything. Like I said, meeting Cassidy, like that was really important for Shaw because it becomes like, in a sense, this is like the love portion relationship that's placed in the game, but it's not fully there because you can decide to go further in it in another chapter, and everything. But it's just like their relationship bouncing off each other is good. They have chemistry and everything. Um,
Do we
And
want to? Sorry, go ahead, Sean.
uh,
Shane, James, Sean, and Shane.
that's fine. Um, Speaking of names that are different, I believe Finn and Cassidy's original names were Forrest and Charlotte, and they were siblings. And
Hmm.
then they changed it up later on. Um, I'm assuming because of the episodes, how the story evolves. So
mhm.
Hmm.
it's cool. I think, and I believe Finn and Cassidy, of course, are named after Butch Cassidy and Huckleberry Finn. So
Yes.
adventurers.
This is
Yeah.
also it's very brief, but Shane was made a good point that we should probably talk about this. Um, the game at some point does prompt you to play The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit, which is Chris's story. It's very short, maybe about an hour, 2 hours,
Hmm.
depending on how long you take. And I highly recommend playing it before this chapter because you get a lot more insight
Yes.
on Chris's
Yes.
life and how it's related to the grandparents a little bit. Um, and his life kind of mirrors Sean and Daniel's in the fact that his mom is gone.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
yeah, it's cute. It's a really cute side quest, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yes.
Did you want to
Now,
talk about it?
Sure. While we're here,
oh,
it's short enough, right?
Yeah, you want
yeah.
to?
Go
Let's.
ahead.
Okay. I was gonna
Well,
say so.
well.
Go ahead.
So before you get into it, Shay. Okay. So the Ventures, this portion of it, it was a free download at E3 a couple of years before this game came out.
Yeah.
Um, so people were able to download it, and part of it was going to carry over into Life is Strange 2. Um, but this really focuses on Chris and his dad. But there's other things that happen to it. So Shay, go ahead.
I was gonna
You
say
do this.
if you want to read, or I can read it too. The description I wrote of it.
Go ahead.
Okay, so a boy named Christopher Erickson creates a superhero for himself named Captain Spirit to help cope with his alcoholic father Charles as they prepare for another Christmas without his mother, Emily, who was killed 2 years earlier in a hit and run accident. Chris creates villains and uses his imagination to defeat them, including his nemesis Mandroid. After an argument with his father, Chris retreats to his treehouse and accidentally falls. However, he never hits the ground, but somehow levitates before hitting the ground while two boys watch from afar, which are Sean and Daniel. Um, so, um, what I like this short episode is just talking about Chris, who's trying to deal with another holiday, not having his mom around, reminiscing about old memories that he has with them, and his dad, who used to be a big basketball star. Um, how he would wished he had seen him play when he was younger, and how he wished his dad was like he used to be because his dad is now depressed. Um, he drinks a lot of alcohol, and um, I know there's even a portion if you're playing in your room and you don't leave when he calls you right away. Um, if you take too long, he has more of an argumentative and just a more mean demeanor against Chris if you do not get there right away. So, um, what I found interesting, if you read or you're looking in the house, there's at one portion there's the book that Mark Jefferson from Life is Strange uh, created years ago of I believe has a picture from the original Life is Strange for his art cover for this book. And
Mhm.
Emily, the mom, actually went to Blackwell Academy on a scholarship to learn art. So that I thought was really cool. So that they kind of connected Arcadia Bay with Chris's mom, Emily. Um, and then what I was saying before about Nick, the guy at the marketplace.
Mhm.
Um, so there's a theory that Nick was the one who was the one that did the hit and run on Emily, Um,
Oh.
and they hint at it that Nick or that Charles, Chris's dad, used to be friends with them, and but they never hang out anymore or talk anymore. And so, uh, it people are saying that they think that Nick is the one that did the hit and run. Some people know about it, but they're keeping it hush hush because Nick is so well liked in the community. So it's interesting. I really enjoyed it. There's the snowman in the backyard, and you can put them together. And also Chris has a huge imagination, and he creates scenarios in which he fights bad guys. And I don't know what your thoughts are, but do you think that's some kind of superpower that they're trying to hint at, or do you think it's just part of the aesthetic of the game? They wanted to put something artistic in there and create that.
I think it's artistic. It's more artistic because I think I think the way that Chris and Daniel are at when they actually get to that part, you're just thinking that it's a normal Christmas tree, being uh made and then going to be sent back. You're not thinking of anything out of that until the narrative context starts playing. The what people say the decisions are made, and you kind of don't think that because I feel like you have to play that game
Hmm.
uh and remind yourself that of the stuff that happened that made his dad feel that way. So when you do meet Nick, you be like, oh, okay, I can see the connection right there. Um to understand it. But like if you haven't played it and you just go in, you wouldn't know anything. So I think it's more for just an artistic thing, like a narrative thing. I don't think it's
Yeah,
very like
and
anything with the supernatural.
yeah, and I guess there's the portion where he falls out of his treehouse, levitates. Well,
Hmm.
at that point, I thought like you don't know this when you play the that first the captain or the Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit. You don't know um, that Sean and Daniel are standing there, and Daniel has these powers.
Yeah.
So originally, I thought, okay, he's got some kind of powers, and now these kids next door saw it because they don't explain it. And so it is interesting that you find out later that Daniel has these powers. Daniel talks to Chris, and Chris realizes he has these powers, and then Chris gives him his cape, um, and then they keep that cape with them. I think you see it in a few bonus scenes, depending on the ending that you pick at the end of the game. So
I actually thought that Chris was a figment of his imagination, Daniels. Because I kind of
okay,
because I thought because I and maybe it took me a while and I may have to play that demo again. It really felt that I thought Chris was dead and the father moved away, or the father had this alcoholic vision of a dead son or something like that. Something
oh
about
okay,
it just seems very paranormal about it. And I
okay. So
think it's because of the switch of the dad, because even when you meet the dad in the demo, yeah, he is this drunk, he is this
mhm,
alcoholic. But then when you meet them in the game, he feels like he's sobered up, learned this lesson, and he wants to take his son to go get a Christmas tree. Like their relationship is better in a sense. So it was just like, man, I'm like, did I did I remember this wrong? And I probably did remember it wrong. But it really had a supernatural, paranormal element that the dad and Daniel were both envisioning Chris at the same time.
so you're almost thinking
Something
Sixth Sense type of thing,
Mm-hmm.
kind
or
of, yeah,
okay. Hmm.
yeah, because
Well,
it
that's a
was
good
just
take on
like,
it, though.
yeah, because there was just something about it, just like, why does he feel like this is a dream?
Hmm. Celeste, did you have any thoughts on this portion of it?
I really enjoyed it. I really like Ed's theory that about the whole figment of his imagination aspect. I felt really bad for Chris. His mom's gone. His dad's an alcoholic. His dad's a jerk. I
Hmm.
mean, I guess he's trying his best, but even Claire and Steven are their neighbors. Claire will go to the door at one point because she hears a fall or a crash. I think the dad Charles had fallen, and Chris answers the door. And I chose to kind of hide for the dad or whatever because he seemed like he'd be mad
Yeah.
if he found out the truth. And when you close the door, Charles is still aggravated. He calls Claire a bitch. He's not to her face, but like he's angry about it
Yeah.
because there is also a very unsettling part after Charles fixes Chris breakfast. He looks at Chris's arm and is like, "Did anybody at school ask you about it?" And then you notice Chris's arm is kind of bruised. So I think that's an indication that Charles hit him or grabbed him too hard. So
Yeah.
is there some kind of physical abuse going on in this situation as well? Um, it's horrible. It's a sad situation.
And to Ed's point too, where they do go get the Christmas tree, where it seems like they have a better
Hmm.
relationship. I think Charles is feeling so bad about how he's treating his son drunk,
Hmm.
and even maybe sober, uh, that he's trying to compensate and do these things for him. Um,
Hmm.
Yeah, because I wanted the dad to have a resolution in this game before
yeah,
Sean and Daniel left. I kind of wanted to have like him realizing that I need to apologize to my son and make things better
hmm
with them. Or there's a decision that if you know, or let there be a decision that if there is some kind of destructive manner because of the dad, that it's going to be sorrowful and it's going to affect Chris. But I would rather that something like that happen because what Daniel doesn't see is that Chris has a dad. Daniel doesn't have his dad no more. So what's important is seeing the relationship from Daniel's perspective that, hey Chris, it's good that we're having this fun time together, but you know, hopefully you and your dad could get back together because I don't have a dad. So I don't get the interaction and everything that you're playing. And because I feel like the whole town doesn't know that Sean and Daniel doesn't on that whole event and everything. It's just that everybody just like, oh, there's just two people shopping.
But it's crazy
yeah.
to me the grandparents know about it, but no one else in that town knows about it.
Well, didn't the authorities call the grandparents about the situation? I think.
Maybe so.
I
Maybe
think that's
that's
what
what
it
it
Yeah.
was.
is. Yeah, maybe so. I wonder, like, I wonder if that would have made national news. Possibly. I was kind of worried that Chris was going to
Uh,
recognize them. I was worried they were going to get recognized at that Christmas market. And I didn't. So this is one of those games where I've played it only once, but it's always fun when you play these games and you realize at the
Uh-huh.
end, like the different choices. You're like, oh, I didn't even realize that was a possibility. Like
Yeah.
for
The
me,
same.
so like when you were reading what happens to Chris, like these three possibilities, for me, Chris got hit by the cop car. So
yeah.
the sheriff is talking to Claire and Steven, and he has backup showing up for some reason. I don't know if he called it in or they just, I have no idea what the reason is that for that is. But Sean and Daniel are trying to leave. The other sheriff's deputy starts trying to pursue them, and Chris for me, Chris stood in the middle of the road and held out his hand as though he was going to stop the cop car, and I'm like, oh, this is not going to end well. This is not going to end well at all. And of course he gets hit by the cop car, but he doesn't, I don't think he dies. He just gets injured. What happened for you? Did you have one of the other ones?
I think I was able to use my powers to save Chris from the cop car. Like I was able to stop it and everything and reveal it. And so um I know I was able to use my powers on it as Daniel.
I was gonna say, boom, car, get out the way. I made sure that wasn't hitting Chris, so I did the same thing as Ed. So
I wonder why. Maybe I let Chris think he had powers. Maybe that was why. I don't remember why. But I didn't know that he could help them find an alternate escape route. But yeah, and then they jump on a train and leave Beaver Creek.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm?
End of chapter 2.
End of chapter 2. So we get into episode 3. In a flashback 3 months before the incident, Sean and Daniel are caught having a fight in the living room by Esteban, who lectures Sean about being an adult and watching over Daniel. Sean apologizes to Daniel and gives him a watch, which the later promises to keep forever. In the present day, 2 months after leaving Beaver Creek, Sean wakes up at a campsite in Humboldt County where he has been working on a cannabis plantation for several weeks with Cassidy and Finn's community of drifters. As he makes new friends within the group, Sean finds Daniel drifting away from him and growing more attached to Finn, who treats him as an adult. One day, Daniel is caught sneaking into the house of the pot farmer's owner, Merrill, who fires the brothers and orders him to be punished. However, Daniel saves himself with his powers, exposing them to Finn, Cassidy, and fellow drifter Jacob. We're going to stop right there. Um,
Oh, Daniel,
because
I wanted to.
this is when the game starts getting good and interesting. Celeste, go, because you got words. Take it away.
Again,
Thoughts.
again, I get it. Daniel's a kid. He's dealing with a lot of trauma. He's a little jerk though. Like I was worried he was going to hurt Sean on purpose. And they're dealing with an illegal situation. They're in the hot seat. Like if they get caught by the authorities, they're probably going to be arrested. Um, the guy, I think his name's Joe or Joseph. He's like this. He's Merrill's guard, and he has an assault rifle on at all times in case any of the drifters working on that pot farm would try any funny business. And it's like, Daniel, could you please listen? Could you please not go into Merrill's office? Could you please not act all big and mighty? Because I think what upsets me is that his actions have other consequences for other people. He's not necessarily hurt, but his brother is hurt or other people are hurt. And I think that's what drives me insane. Like, could you please listen? It just irritated me so much.
Well, episode 3 at this portion, it kind of shows you what happens when you're disobedient, because I think once Daniel recognizes what has happened or what goes on, we'll get to it. He now should understand that, you know, because he's leaning more to Finn and being treated fairly, you know, that treatment of being fair is what making him want to be more disobedient to Sean and everything. And Sean is just, I could give it to Sean. He's looking out the best for Daniel, because if someone finds out what happens with this, something what what happens in episode 3 and everything, and there's a decision and stuff that you can make. Well, I won't speak on it just yet. Uh, could really lead up to something that's going to be very dangerous and everything. Shay, what did you think of just like this first half of episode 3 of all that went down?
Well, I look at it a different way because I like the scenery in this. I really did. I believe they're in like redwoods or some other forest that have
Yeah.
really huge trees, um, and the whole camp scene and just feel good times with people that you don't fully know, but maybe want to get to know more and get to talk. I just enjoyed this whole the ambiance of this scene. Um, and then you got, of course, Daniel looking more towards Finn because I don't. Finn makes him feel like he can uh, be himself, do the things that he wants to do without the uh, almost all-seeing eye of his brother watching him and telling him what he thinks is right. And So that little light of freedom for Daniel, I believe, is he's taking every bit of it and using it for himself. Um, but yeah, I like this whole um, the whole like just background of this and how these drifters are making money on the side. Yes, it's illegal, but they're free. So
Yeah, I really enjoy this because I think we got more characters and the connections and the backstories.
mhm.
There's a part where they're all sitting by the campfire and telling them how they all became this family, got this group, like or and stuff where they came from and everything. I like the fact that Cassidy gave Shaw that tattoo, and you got to choose what it was and stuff. I thought that was kind of cool, but I kind of see why Daniel was getting close to Finn because Daniel felt disrespected by Shaw by all of these rules. He felt like I want to be able to do something and you won't let me do it and stuff. But Finn will let me do it and everything. There's a point where uh uh Daniel is showing Shaw that he's been getting better at mastering his powers and everything. And it's kind of also showing like even Daniel kind of has a little attitude. I already know Shaw, and he starts showing them doing this stuff. And and Shaw's just like, when did you learn that? He's just like, it's not like I haven't been practicing. I have. You just haven't been paying attention and everything. And so there's they're setting a tone of jealousy right there where why do you as the older brother get to have your fun with Cassidy but I can't have my fun with Finn? Now that I'm having my fun with Finn, you're getting jealous, but I haven't said nothing about you until you really want to get on me about you and Cassidy. So you can't kill two birds with one stone in this situation. I think that's the phrase. I might be using it wrong, so forgive me. But it really
Yeah.
just showed the level of jealousy and everything. Finn is somewhat well, in somewhat place, taking the place of uh Shaw as a brother role, and Cassidy is taking the attention away from Daniel because Sean is kind of falling in love with her, in a sense.
Yeah,
Excuse me.
but Sean then becomes more of the father figure
Hmm.
to
Yes,
Daniel. So
And
yes.
it's again like it's kind of Daniel kind of becomes this anchor. Like he's always been a liability for Sean, but in this
Hmm.
chapter he's a true anchor, a true like his liability shines forth the strongest, I find. And again, it's a lot of trauma. There are a lot of difficult decisions and um oh God, I guess it just frustrates me so much.
Well, I will say, uh, sorry. As he makes new friends within the group, Shaz finds Daniel drifting away from him and growing more attached to Finn, who treats him as a dog. One day, Daniel is caught sneaking into the house of the pot farm's owner, Merrill, who fires the brothers and orders him to be punished. However, Daniel saves himself with his powers, exposing them to Finn, Cassidy, and fellow drifter Jacob. Okay. That night, Finn plans on using Daniel's powers to break into Merrill's safe and asks Shaw to tag along, to which he can either join or refuse, the latter of which results in him following the two with Cassie after they leave without him. They end up being caught in the living room by Meryl, who may kill Finn or wound Daniel during their ensuing confrontation. Afterwards, Daniel loses control of his powers and destroys the room, knocking out everyone present. The next morning, the participants of the conflict are shown still lying on the ground, with the exception of Daniel, who has left a trail of money leading from the safe out of the door. In the episode's final shot, Sean is revealed to have a piece of glass embedded in his eye. Now, about the money part, because depending on what you do, you don't even get the money. Because I did not. Everybody got knocked out, and it showed that the room was being destroyed. Uh, but we end up seeing Jacob being not Jacob. We end up seeing Daniel being gone, and kind of find out later that Jacob has taken him away. You know, to which would lead into episode 4. Um, I will say, because this part was like the conclusion of episode 4, and like Finn and Cassidy's story. Uh, I found this part exciting with this. I will say I as playing as Daniel, I was telling Shaw, you know, follow, do what he says in everything. And I, even though I still lost the eye and Daniel lost it, Cassidy and Finn didn't get killed. Because there's a point that Finn could actually get killed in here. And I was just like, even though I told him no, because I literally told him no, he's insane, he's crazy, we're not doing it. Uh, After Cassie and Sean go into the river and make love and do all of that crazy mess, uh, and I came out. I really found it interesting that, sneaking into get into the car, using what his dad taught him and everything, getting to the house, and all of this. It was just like it was so riveting and exciting. I kind of felt like this is where the game really should have started and it picks up, because there's so much action going on, so much stuff that's happening, and I'm interested. I feel like episode 1 and episode 2 were building this up, but it took long to build and they felt boring. Because this is a tone switch in the whole game. Oh, we're going to get some tone switching in this game. Because I felt like the writers did not know what they need to write, but because it feels disjointed writing wise with these episodes. But yet, I feel like episode from 3 to 5 is Life is Strange 2 in a sense. Like, this is the game. This is the story. This is the narrative that really showcases what this game is about and everything. Uh, Celeste, thoughts on this whole section before we get into 4.
Oh yeah, it gets real, and I'm very curious. I'm assuming they're basing it off real life incidents of people working on farms like this. And Merrill has moments where he's actually kind of displayed as being sympathetic and gentle to Sean,
Hmm.
which is kind of surprising. But overall, I mean, he's doing this for money, and he even says, "I have a family to feed as well in New York." Um, Again, I wanted to yeet Daniel off a cliff for this episode. He just annoyed me. I mean, I understand he's dealing with a lot of emotions. It just annoyed me. He annoys me so much.
Shay. Well, hold on,
So,
Shay.
okay.
Celeste, what did you do for uh when I think it was Meryl who had the gun and stuff and everything
Oh,
when you was in the room? What did you do in this situation?
um, Finn lives. It is because you can say whose idea it was, or Cassidy says it, and she's like, "It's Finn's idea. It's Finn's idea." And what's his name? Daniel gets injured.
Okay.
That's what happened. I don't think he took the money. I don't remember. I just remember like taking in all the chaos of everybody being on the ground. But again, what irritates me, Sean loses one of his eyes because of Daniel's powers. And I get it. It was that, or they all probably would have been shot by this damn assault rifle, but
So I thought Sean lost his eye because he got hit with the gun. I thought Meryl hit him or something,
No,
but
it's
I
a
guess not.
piece of
piece of
glass.
glass
He's
went
a
in his
guy.
head.
Okay.
I guess
Because
it's
he
just it's symbolic to me of how Daniel's powers are hurting those he loves as well.
Hmm.
That's what I see it as.
And that's the true message of all superheroes. Do you use your powers, to help people, but also it hurts people you love. So,
Hmm.
Shay,
um,
what
so,
did you think of this part, and then what did you do up to the end?
so this is one of two places I was frustrated in the game, and not because of Daniel. Um, my frustration came with the bud trimming mini game thing that was going on there. I'm like, when is this going to be over?
Oh,
I
that
felt
part
I
was
felt like
long.
I felt like personally I should be paid for doing this because I felt like I was actually doing work and I should be getting some of this profit for cutting these virtual digital buds for people to digitally smoke. I just that whole span was like, I get you're talking and you have to get all these done in a certain period of time, but man, I did not enjoy that. I don't think I'd pan well on a pot farm. So, uh, and to the last, part of this, Finn did get shot. He lived, but yeah, that then brings us to that fourth episode where Finn's in the hospital. So,
Yes. Well, let's jump into episode 4. The cycle picks up in Humboldt County, California hospital room where Shaw, gravely wounded, wakes up to find that Daniel is still missing. Under arrest and facing tough questions from law enforcement, Sean is running out of options. Only quick thinking and unexpected allies can secure his freedom. So you see Sean in the hospital, with his eye patch, and this doctor coming, or this nurse comes in, teaches him how to clean it and everything, giving them
Joey.
a different test. Joey, yeah, he was cool too. I liked him
Yep.
and everything. Uh,
Uh-oh, Ed got really excited and froze while talking about Joey. Joey is cool, and I like that you can match up. Like there's like a little, I don't know if mini game is the right part. You froze up a bit, Ed. We were talking about
Yeah.
Joey.
I'm sorry about that. Um, Joey, he's teaching Sean all of these things, and he let him know that he will be, arrested and everything. They're going to be letting him go. He tricks the guard to come in, so that he could leave and exit out. You grab your stuff, change clothes, and I would say this: why, after knocking out the guard, he did not grab any money from the guard? He has no money on him. I would have grabbed some money from the guard's wallet,
Well,
because of what
um,
happens.
so I guess, did you have Joey help you escape?
No, no.
Okay, because there was a, I think, couple different scenarios here on how to escape the hospital, and that's not the one I chose.
So I closed like the closet window, and I did something in the bathroom or something, and he came in, and I hit him on the head. I
Hmm.
bopped him, and he
Oh,
That's
fell
what
okay.
I
down
did too for the
I
guard.
did not
for the
do
guard.
that.
Oh,
Hmm.
Shane, what did you do?
So you're talking about being in the bathroom there. You take the
Handle.
handicap
Yeah.
rail
Yeah.
off the side of the wall there, and I waited for the guard to leave, and then you can go over to the window and pop the lock off the window, and then climb out the window and scoot your way around so that you can see Finn as you're going down, and talk to Finn in the window, and then
Oh.
then you can go down the side of the building, and then that's when you steal the car. So,
So I did open the window, but you have the option where Sean looks kind of scared. So I
yep.
thought, oh, he's gonna fall. That's what I was worried about. So I ended up knocking out the guard.
Oh,
But I did see Finn, and I woke him up and talked to him. Did you talk to him?
yeah. Yeah, just from outside the hospital. There's
Yeah.
So
a
I
there's like one of those, what do you call it, the scaffolds
Scaffold.
on the
Yeah.
side, and you
yeah.
talk from there. So,
So I bought the policeman. I walked out. I went into the other room to get my stuff, and then I snuck out. Well, while walking, I see Finn, and I just skip past him. I don't even say nothing
Oh,
to him.
so
I'm like, I'm not
we
even
all did
speaking.
different things.
Yeah.
I
There
Then I
was.
got.
I was gonna say there's also the option of help Joey helping you,
I didn't do
where
that.
uh, he'll let you go, but he tells them that he says he's gonna tell him that you hit him on the or whatever
I
and
didn't want
ran
to get him.
off.
I didn't
I
want to
didn't
get him
want
in
him to get in
trouble.
Yeah.
trouble.
I didn't want to
Exactly.
get him in trouble. He was
Yeah.
so nice, and he had so much to lose. He even brings up because Sean asked him to help him. He's like, I have a girlfriend, I have a rent, a mortgage or something, and I have my own dreams and aspirations. I could go to jail
Yeah.
for this. I could lose everything if I
And
help you leave.
I was also gonna say we did the lady also comes in too to talk
The
about
FBI agent.
yeah the whole
Yeah.
situation as well. We're
And
asking
so
him about the true story or whatever. So
I wonder who was she on the phone with when she was speaking, because you can hear her conversation, but I'm like, is she yelling at
oh,
somebody?
out in the hall. Yeah.
Yeah. They
Yeah.
never explain. They never explained that in the game.
Maybe a coworker or something, I guess.
It's something like a husband
Oh,
or some or a partner or
like a
some kind.
personal call.
Yeah. So, uh, you escape the hospital. You get in a car and you start driving. You go to different places. We're driving. Um, some kind of music in the loop. And this is why I wanted him to steal the wallet, because it feels like the women who had the car that he stole had a full tank of gas. From where he was driving, he got a long place. He drove far. I'm like, how you not eating anything, and how you don't
Eco-friendly.
have any gas or anything.
Uh, I wanted to address the fact that before he leaves the hospital, they're doing tests because he's only got one eye now, and they're testing his depth perception, and it's got to be hard driving a car. Um, has first off, has Sean driven a car before? Yes, he's 16, but did he ever have his license? And if so, how is it that he can drive, one eye in the dark, raining, you know? So that had to be difficult. And then,
It had to be different. I think it's because of his dad being a mechanic. I think him and his dad had some.
yeah,
It feels like they had driver's lessons, so he was used to driving.
yeah, he probably knew the ins and outs of it. So,
Yeah, he learned
Yeah.
how to hotwire a car. I
oh
certainly
yeah,
can't
that's
do
true.
that.
That's how we did that. And, also, you told him he should have taken the money. Do you think if he had taken the money, he would have gotten out of that situation where he pulled over to rest, and then the two
Yes.
guys come over to harass him and beat him for being on his property?
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
Uh, I didn't do the dance. I was speaking in Spanish, like negative about him. Like I took my punches and everything. Like I was not giving this racist what he wanted.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
full on.
It
yeah.
enrages me because I mean, I guess they don't know, but it's like this dude is an American citizen. First of all, you just shouldn't treat anybody poorly like that.
No.
I do not condone that kind of behavior. I understand there are a lot of nuances to that political topic. We're not going to get into that, but I believe in treating others how you want to be treated. And you were a stranger, and I welcomed you, and I fed you, and I gave you water. I don't believe in being hateful. And yeah, those jerkwads. Sean gets beat up a lot in this game.
He
Like I'm
does.
Hmm.
surprised his jaw is not dislocated.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
horrific. And one of the guys is very aggressive, and the other guy kind of wants him to stop and like leave him alone. It just oh God, I really wanted to see Sean beat the absolute shit out of someone and have his revenge.
Yeah.
Oh.
Celeste's
Well,
violent talent tendencies are coming out for this game.
I don't. It's the injustice. It
Yeah,
makes it
I get it.
yeah.
enrages me. Like I'm
Yeah,
not like
I
I'm not.
know.
I don't go around beating up people. It's like Timmy, who's a very mild mannered
Yeah,
person, and seeing that
yeah.
shopkeeper.
Seeing something bad happen to someone that has,
Hmm.
not done anything, even if he has done something, yes, he was on their land. The proper procedure would be go up and talk to him, and if he seems like a threat, call the cops. That I don't know. It just
I know. It enrages me, and I get it. The guy was obviously sleeping in the car. Okay, like knock on the window. I mean, I get it. You don't know if he has a weapon. Like, I guess I'm
yeah.
thinking I grew up on a private family lane, so if any car that people do not recognize would drive up and down that lane, you better believe my mom and her cousins and my grandparents were like, "Who is this?" But nobody went and did what those people did to Sean. They just kind of keep an eye out, like, "Hey, can I help you?" I don't know.
Yeah.
He was just he overdid it. And is this also the chapter where you can be picked up by a trucker, right?
Yep. That's
Yes.
what I referenced
So
before at the gas station there, with the blue
Yeah.
truck leaving the gas
so
station.
yeah, you meet a trucker because like the car runs out of gas. It's shyness. Walk in, you can do some drawing. You kind of see that his skin is peeling and everything. A trucker comes and picks him or asks him, stops by, be like, picks him up, gives him a sandwich. They talk to, and he's just like, man, your wife does make the best sandwiches and everything. And he drops him off in this town. And we kind of find out that Jacob is in this town. He got his hair cut and everything. Because Jacob's sister is also in this town, but
Did-
she's sick. Uh, you kind of meet this religious group slash cult question mark. Uh, because the woman who was over it, has Daniel all cleaned up. It is kind of being like a mob in a sense and everything. Uh,
Sister Elizabeth.
Shaw, yeah. Ooh, was she
Don't get
something?
me started. Do not get me started.
Uh, Sean recognizes what Daniel is doing and where he's at, and some opinions are exchanged and everything. Um, and what ends up happening is that there's this guy guard who beats up Shaw and pulls a gun out and tell him never to come back again. Uh,
so
but Oh, before you go, Shay. But
yeah.
but a woman comes and pick up Sean, and you kind of find out that it's Sean and Daniel's mom. They drive off and go into a hotel, and this is where you kind of start finding out more about what happened to their mom, and then some of the decisions that you made there. Okay, so I'm gonna stop right there. Shay, this part of the game, what did you think, and what
Um,
decision did you make with
be,
the mom?
before I answer that, maybe we should discuss the okay. Jacob was part of the group uh, at the pot farm, and he left this place because he felt he was um, just not. I want to say he felt uh, pressured and persecuted, what he believed, and wanted to be away from that. So um, him him getting hurt, I think, and bringing Daniel back was maybe trying to redeem himself from leaving and trying to get back with his family. So um, that being said, right there, then Sean, he goes into this place, um, sees Daniel doing a quote unquote miracle, for the followers of this religious gathering, and then Sean meeting the daughter. I'm not entirely sure. Remember her name?
Sarah.
Sarah Lee, I
Sarah.
believe
Sarah
it
Lee.
is. So meets
Yeah.
her. She seems not well. So, and then uh, Sean meets the mom, and that's I guess that's when the whole um, thing occurs where they're disagreeing, and Sean um, gets thrown out by the I want to say the assistant, and tells him not to come back because uh, Daniel says he doesn't want to go with him. So um, for me, this whole section, um, uh, yes, I don't even know how to describe this because it's like I'm Catholic. I believe a lot of things. So but there's logical sense in thinking things through as well, where you just you can tell when someone is brainwashed versus believing. So this whole section is, I believe, just both brainwashing Daniel to do these miracles for the profit of this, um, I want to say, religious group. I don't want to say cult, but religious group. Um, so yeah, I just feel like this is more of exploitation of a child with powers doing these miracles to make a profit.
Celeste, thoughts on this section?
I'm going to call it a cult because of how Elizabeth acts. Because I think Sarah Lee says, "Oh, Sister Elizabeth has said that she can never sin. She's perfect." And if you study cults like
Yeah.
Jonestown and
Hmm.
Heaven's Gate and all these things, Shane is way nicer than I am because that's what the leader does. They tell you that they are the way, the truth, and the life, and they act better than Jesus Christ himself. And I also found it interesting that they view Daniel as a miracle. There are some groups who would have viewed it as, oh my God, this is the work of the devil. So that was an
Yeah,
interesting turn of
Yeah.
events. And yeah, you learn very quickly that Sister Elizabeth is very hypocritical, very, if you research, cults and their leaders, she kind of checks off all the boxes. She says power. Now there are some Christian groups, I think Christian scientists, who believe that power of prayer is the only way to be healed. So she is very controlling in that aspect, does not let other members go to the doctor. But when you go into Sister Elizabeth's compound, her house, you see receipts from her doctor appointments and her
Yeah.
visits. So oh, the rules are for thee, not for me. And that,
you
uh,
also find out what is wrong with Sarah, in
yes,
there, because she holds that back from Jacob and everything. And
yes.
Jacob just like, I know something is not right, and I think
Mm-hmm.
I think she has it. So that's where they you
Mm-hmm.
go in. But we'll get to that part later. Go
We
ahead,
we learned that
Celeste.
Jacob is gay, and they tried to do conversion therapy with him, and just they're not a loving, accepting group. Okay, they're very
Hmm.
hypocritical, they're very judgmental. Nick calls him a slur for gay people. He calls him a horrible name when he finds them in Sister Elizabeth's house. They're just horrific people. I do have to, okay, maybe you should go, Ed, because I have thoughts on the next part that happened.
Okay, so I will say, I kind of did a little bit of a reset in the sense of chapter four, when when Sean and Jacob breaks in. Sean hides into the closet. I made sure, cause you can leave the thing out, and so I reset it. I loaded the checkpoint up, and I got the paperwork. I closed it, and then I hid, and then and then Jacob hid behind the door, so we was never found. But then, uh, the mom gives the distraction and everything, and I came out with there. So everything is at least up to there, but uh, I will say when the mom came, and and Sean, met up and they went to the hotel and everything, I was nice to the mom. I wanted to hear what she had to say and everything. I stood outside while she smoked. Uh, you know, I just I let her clean the eye, and I was just being more forgiving and being more understanding because I wanted to hear her side. And she just and as heart wrenching as it was, not heart wrenching, uh as unfair as it was for the mom to leave the boys in Esteban and stuff, she really felt like I was unhappy. And I didn't want to carry that burden of my unhappiness and place it on you guys and Esteban. So, and Esteban was fine with it. He allowed me to leave, And so that's why I've been gone. I never stopped thinking about you guys. I never stopped loving you guys. But I'm someone who just can't be who doesn't not say believe in a family life, but I like to be free. And I think it really is because of her relationship with the mom and dad in chapter 3. Um I guess they were so sheltered and everything, or they were in some kind of way that it affected the mom to be like, I can't do this because you guys want me to be something and I'm not. And so, you know, her being able to give the player that explanation, whether you like it or not, at least they wrote it to where she admits everything and she's just like, I'm not proud of it, but I had to do it. If you feel like it's selfish, go ahead and say that it's selfish. Fine, I was selfish. But I wouldn't be me and who I am if I was stuck with something that was keeping me unsatisfied. You know, I really love that part. I think out of the whole game, that was the more human part to this, that you something that you could identify, and kind of something that you kind of wish that more people would just say and outright, admit and everything, that I am not a family person, so I had to leave. Instead of instead of all these secrets being held and being broken up, because Esteban had a right to tell Sean and Daniel before his passing away what happened to their mom. And it always felt like he never did. He never explained to them what happened. And he should have.
Maybe he
Go
didn't
ahead, Shay.
understand it himself. Maybe that's why he didn't uh, explain it. Maybe that truth was more painful for him than
Hmm.
some real tangible reason of why she wasn't there. So
Yeah. Uh, but I do like that part of chapter 4. I really enjoy it. Really felt grounded in this game, and I'm just like, this is great storytelling and narrative. The way that it's presented, the way that is acted out, and delivered. It was just like, out of everything in this whole game, I feel like this is the one that stands out. Chapter 5 stands out altogether because I know we got to get to it, but it was just like so moving in chapter 4 at that part. And we know that later on, the stuff that happens to Jacob, the stuff that happened to Sarah, you get a choice if you want Jacob to keep the money to help his sister get help, or you can take the money back, and stuff. But in the end, for me, I let Jacob keep the money so Sarah could get help, and then I think I end up getting a letter, or somehow I end up finding out that the doctors ended up taking care of her. She ends up getting cured and stuff.
Hmm.
Um, and they're living a better life. So I was happy to get that. Uh, the church catches on fire because argument is going on, and the assistant is beating up on Sean once again, but Sean is not giving up. He really wants to save Daniel to come. uh w- the the church catches on fire. You have an option to kill Elizabeth, or let her, or just walk away and not do nothing. uh we also find out that Elizabeth is cuckoo crazy because when she was in another religious group, they kicked her out because of some things. So you kind of find a lot of backstory in that little office slash house that it is. Um, what did you guys do before we get into chapter 5? Did you uh, kill Elizabeth, like hurt her, or did you guys walk away? Celeste.
I let her live. I because I figured so I it's not they don't call it out in the game, but when I was reading it, you can have like a morality meter for Daniel. He's
Hmm.
watching everything you do and listening to your instructions, and I didn't want him to think that, you know what, you're going to be the bigger person. You're going to be a good person and not harm her. I did think, okay, the part with the church being on fire was a little overly dramatic. Okay, if the building you're
Yeah.
in is on fire, the fire is spreading, you're going to get out, right? Because not only can the flames hurt you, all the smoke that you could be inhaling could hurt you. It just felt a little unrealistic and overly dramatic with the
It,
guy, Nicholas, I think is his name, keeps punching Sean. Sean keeps getting up and trying to advocate for Daniel. At one point, I wanted to be like, Daniel, stay with the damn cult. I don't care anymore. I'm going to leave. Like,
But
just.
it kind of symbolizes two things: that everything that it was built to that point is burning down. Secondly, this
Mhm.
is a representation of hell, because
Yes.
it's like this is some evil stuff that you doing. No guard should have a gun beating up on another person. So it's just showing that you guys supposedly have this Christian faith, but in reality, you're just an evil human, like some like not evil human. I should rephrase that. You are a sinful human like everybody else. So now that this is all burning down and stuff is being revealed, the truth is coming out. This is what this fire is doing to this
Yes.
church.
um,
You making this place that should have been a temple of holiness is now becoming unholy and undone.
I was gonna say this is where a Firewatch would be handy. Speaking of that, I got my walk Firewalk shirt from Life is Strange.
Ah, very
So
appropriate.
yeah, I'll have to wear it on the next one too. So um, before I answer that, I
So
want to
yeah, but Shay, go ahead.
step back a little at the hotel. So now this is the second place that frustrated me in the game, and not because of anything that the story had. I It was glitching out on me. I couldn't
Ooh.
click on something. I couldn't advance. So I actually had to delete my download file of the game and reload it in order for it to work. So I still had my save, but I had to delete it and then come back. And there was this portion in there where when your mom's gone and you're going around the room and clicking on things, and you had to
Mhm.
click on something to advance, and it would not let me do it. And I looked online, and there was some big glitch with it in certain game saves. So I took care of that, but that was frustrating because I played the episode probably 6 times to try to
Ah.
get through it, and each time it got stuck. So then I kept researching to figure it out. That being said, there were some interesting things, and I had forgot to mention because you get a backpack from I believe Brody at episode 1,
Mhm.
and I didn't notice it at first, but I think in this episode I did. On the backpack, it says, "Not all those who wander are lost," which is a line from that the poem by J.R.R. Tolkien. All that glitters is not gold. So I thought that was cool because this was a journey, basically, an adventure with two people, plus the people you meet on the adventure. And then also there's I thought this was cool. I looked this up, but there's a receipt um, that says, I think it's ACFC, and I didn't know what that was, so I looked it up, and it stands for Aurora Creek Fried Chicken. And Aurora Creek is the original name of Arcadia Bay. So I thought that was pretty interesting too. So,
Ooh.
but yeah, that whole interacting with your mom, I tried to be nice as well because not only the fact that Sean becomes almost the parent to Daniel and having that difficulty dealing with Daniel, I think then that can relate to maybe what your mom was going through with you guys. Though you chose to stay, she didn't. That um, that definitely needs some explanation, and I feel like that's you try to understand your parent and see the reasoning behind it, and I gave her the chance at least to tell me that. So
Mhm.
um, then of course going back to the cult site, um, going into those back rooms, where they live and figuring out some of the stuff that they're doing there, and that's like Celeste said, you find some of the doctors' receipts and some of the other things with like the books that they're making for this, and Daniel's room there, going through some of that stuff, um, and then finally getting to the scene with the church burning. Um, again, another escalate in this in these episodes. It seems to be a theme where it's everything's. I don't want to say calm because this definitely wasn't calm. It was just a crescendo. Boom! Everything happens at once, and
Yeah.
that's when the most interesting narratives and decisions occur. And I think at that point, um, what's his name? The guard or her assistant. He's
Nicholas.
Yeah, Nicholas. He's got a gun right to Sean's forehead, and Sean doesn't even care anymore. He said, "Just pull it. Do it. If you're gonna do it, do it." And then Elizabeth is saying, pull a trigger," and Daniel's right there, and that's his brother. I don't care if you're brainwashed or not. That's not cool in my book. So yeah, so he throws Nicholas against the wall, and I think that's a breakthrough right there of him coming back to um, more of a grounded reality,
Hmm.
um, and not a facade that was happening at this church. So I don't know, just real interesting how this episode played out. This was definitely not something I thought playing the earlier chapters this was headed to. So
Yeah. Well.
I believe each chapter does have a very unique identity, and each chapter seems to have a different terrain as they go
Hmm.
farther and farther south. So it's like it seemed like they wanted to check off the bingo card of all the terrains that the U.S. has to offer in all the seasons. So
So that's what you nice to the mom, or I don't know. I didn't get your
Oh,
point of what you
I
did with the
was
mom.
I was nice to her. I was conflicted because on one hand, like, okay, so I don't want children, for instance. I can understand that that would be difficult, but at the same time, like, I get it. She probably realized it too late, especially if she was influenced by her parents and how they chose to raise her. But now you have
Hmm.
two new lives, and no matter what explanation they could receive, like, imagine finding out at the bottom, at the core of it, I did not want to be your mother. Like, I love you from a distance and I want the best for you, but I did not want to be a mother to you. So that would, I mean, imagine how that would make you feel. Like, I was nice to her because she was showing kindness and she was stepping up, especially when it mattered the most. But I mean, I know people who have experienced that. Like, I have some friends who are
Hmm.
adopted or friends who other people in their families had to step up because their parents didn't. And it causes some very difficult feelings for them.
Yeah.
yeah,
So it's time for us to get to uh the last episode. Sean and Daniel have reached the end of the road. The border is closed. One last brutal gauntlet of challenges is all that stands between them and their goal. Uh, Caught between responsibility and freedom, surrounded on all sides, can Sean find a way out of an impossible situation? And more importantly, in this moment of crisis, will Daniel still follow his lead? Every decision Sean has made, every lesson Daniel has learned, and every friend and foe they met along the way, they all been leading to this. So you get to where the mom is staying, and I did love that little community. I love the two gay guys and stuff because they're just like, "Oh, Sean, we're gonna miss you," and it really showed how it really showed just like the peace of mind that everybody have and the love and respect that they have. We also meet the dad or the stepdad from the first gang, or the boyfriend from the first gang, and it talked about how the wife ends up leaving him because the daughter Chloe ends up dying in it. And so
Well, it depends on your
uh
ending that you chose for the
yeah.
first game.
if it's saved, if you played the original game, it picks up on
Oh
that.
wow! Hold
Hmm.
on, wait. What? Hold up, wait.
You didn't. Okay, so at the beginning of the end of Life is Strange, I chose to save Chloe, and she and Max leave. And then when you're with Brody, you actually go and look over the destroyed Arcadia Bay.
Yeah.
That's what
Or
I had.
or you see Arcadia Bay like I chose, and you see it lively, and later on
Yeah.
you hear about Chloe, but she's not in the picture. I believe in it would be in Celeste's playthrough. You'll if you go into the trailer, you'll see a picture of Max and Chloe has like green hair now, and they look a little older.
Mhm.
And
Hmm.
Sean
Yeah.
goes, "Oh, that they look fun, or they look cool, or
Hmm.
something like that." Um,
Hmm.
whereas in my playthrough, you you're on the phone with Joyce. So
Oh, the wife.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
Yeah.
so
old girlfriend or whatever.
yeah,
So
his ex-wife. Because
yeah.
for me, he's on the phone with Chloe, and you can kind of hover around his trailer and
Mhm.
listen to the conversation. It sounds like she and Max are either really good friends, or depending on if you let them be friends or girlfriends, like romantic partners. He's closer to Chloe. He's very happy for her. They have a more positive relationship. But yeah, David Madsden is in that community, so it's a neat little connection.
Mhm.
Yes. Yeah. So I guess they broke up either way. I'm assuming, and David just moved to this place
Yeah.
because he's in this gang, and he sounds more calm and more understanding. And I kind of like that about. I like how they did that. Um, it gets to a point where Daniel and Sha is going to leave. The mom is going to cause another distraction and everything. Stuff happens, but Sean and Daniel, Sean to ask. I mean, yeah, Sean asked Daniel to make a way. Daniel does, but then they end up getting captured by these two white racist nationalists or whatever. These two white people, and they get taken to this FBI comes and ends up taking them because they've been working with them for I guess immigration or whatever. So you're in the jail cell. You as Shah is in a jail cell with this other uh Hispanic family. On the other side of the cell is the two white people, the two races and everything.
So
As time goes on in it, you start getting questioned, but things start happening because Daniel is using his powers to break them out. um, you go through some parts, and there's a section, and I love this because I want to find out what you guys did, and I hope I'm interested to see what everybody chose. You get to this
um,
point where you can free the Hispanic couple or the races, and for me, I relieved the Hispanic couple. I told them to come out, let them flee, and everything, and kept the racists in the jail. What did you guys do? Celeste.
You can actually free them both, but I chose, like, even though I could have freed them both, I freed only the Hispanic couple. And because I was kind of worried, the vigilantes, I was like, maybe I should be the bigger person. But on the second hand, I didn't know if they would retaliate or attack me,
Mm,
because they seem like Sean is fluent in Spanish, and he has a conversation with a couple, and they're saying a lot of things. Again, this is dealing with topics that are discussed in real life. They're just trying to go to America to get a better life for their child. And Sean is telling the couple, oh, I'm going to Mexico. And they're like, why would you do that? And they start telling him about the crime, and how the poverty is so bad, and all the negative things going on, and how they're trying to discourage him. They're like, you're already an American citizen. You should stay here and take advantage of that. But the vigilantes, they start saying, you're in America, you need to speak English. And my whole thing is, guys, this country was, I mean, they're the Native Americans, first of all, and then everybody else, all immigrants. My ancestors are Polish and French. Don't even get me started on that whole you have to speak English thing. But yeah, they're horrible people. And I was like, you know what, screw it. And I honestly thought, I know this isn't the question you had, uh, Ed, but
that's fine.
when the interrogation room is shaking, I
Hmm.
thought Sean was about to have some powers on Earth, because he was in a moment of extreme stress.
Yeah.
I did not until Daniel appeared. What about you, Shane?
Um, well, I did. I just read the Spanish couple. Um, I, I would have let them out. I felt like this time around, I'm a nice guy, but I'm not letting you out this time. Um, and also, I kind of wanted to go back a little with the whole trailer park thing because I feel there's a lot there. There's I liked the art that lady would make out of all the
Mm-hmm.
trash that she would collect. And I feel like again, Life is Strange has a lot of different artistic qualities about it. This time being drawing and also the imagination thing with Chris, and now you've got the music thing with Cassidy, and you've got now this art sculpture lady in this desert trailer park, basically. Um, and there's a lot of different people in that community. And I think one lady is I forgot who it was. She's bald. I believe she has some form of cancer or something.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which later on is kind of interesting. If when you one of the scenarios when you finish the game, Joyce is wearing her shirt, um, and I found that interesting because I think maybe she passed away and now she's wearing her shirt to remember her by. Um,
Yes.
and and then also this is the I wanted to bring this up because this is another um, cool nod to a video game. If you go into David's trailer, there's a CB radio, and you can
Uh-huh.
turn it to the I think it's like 150 or 160 or something like that on the radio. But I think if you dial it in, I don't know, yeah, I did write it down. It's a 145.50. You hear someone reaching out to Alex and Jonas, and you find, well, if you've played it before, Alex and Jonas are some of the main characters in the Oxenfree game, and
Oh.
so I believe they're connecting the Oxenfree game to this too because Oxenfree is all about radio signals and communicating and strange events that occur in that indie game as well. So I thought that was a cool nod to that game because I really enjoyed that game. Um, but yeah, as you leave this surreal desert community, it just I I almost thought personally like I would have just stayed there. Um, yeah, maybe eventually someone would find you out there, but I would have stayed
Yeah, I
there.
know, right? I agree with you. But
So,
then Karen tells them that the FBI is hot on
oh,
their trail.
yes,
Oh
and
no.
then now that you brought that up too, there's a portion too where you can find Karen. I don't know if this was in episode four. It might have been episode four. You find Karen's like I think it's like some tortoise uh it's tortoise club or something or other. It's like a
Hmm.
gym, and there's a QR code on there, and if you scan it, um, what does it say? It says work hard, muster big when you scan it, and that's a reference to what Hot Dog Man says. So there's a lot of Hot Dog Man references
Oh,
Oh
in there
wow.
because they have
I
the
love
comic
it.
in there, the cartoon when Daniel's watching the TV in the motel. There's a lot of references. So I just feel like this Life is Strange in particular have a lot of connections and Easter eggs to all sorts of mediums in art and books and movies and the other Life is Strange games, of course. So I don't know. It's just really interesting to see.
Yes. Well, everybody, we have got to the final portion. Daniel and Sean are in the car. They get close to the border, but the FBI is all around and stopping them, and it gives you some choices if you want to continue to go forth or if you want to surrender. And now, another choices that you made, and it doesn't tell you what affects what to let you know what happens, but all the choices that you made leads up to what the conclusion is going to be. So this game has four endings. We're not going to go through all four. We're only going just to tell which ending that we uh had. So I'm going to start with you, Shay. what was your ending to this game?
Um, I chose the parting ways ending. Um, that, of course, is you trying to bust through the wall with your brother, but your brother does not, Daniel does not want to go. So Daniel, I think, allows you to get through the wall, and you keep driving while he bails out of the truck. And Sean escapes to Mexico, whereas Daniel stays in the States. And Daniel, I believe, then has to go to like juvenile, like some kind of institute of what he's done. And then he lives with his grandparents, whereas Sean goes to Mexico and meets up with Cassidy, and they make it to, what is it, Porto Lobos? They make it there.
Hmm.
That's where they're living. Interesting detail that I saw too is if um, that ending, Sean has a black eye for his eye, and I heard a different ending. He has a white eye, so it's almost like maybe they're trying to tell you that was the more of the dark or more of the evil ending versus the more pure, true ending. I don't know, but yes, that's the one I picked.
Celeste, what ending did you go with?
I had the exact same one, and because I tried to keep Daniel as moral as possible, and
Yes.
I think the reason that Daniel made that decision is because he realized I can't keep running from the law forever, and I've made some bad decisions. So he uses his power to move all the vehicles, and that allows Sean to barricade through the wall. But I have a lot of questions, okay? And I don't know if right now or after Ed's decision we should talk about it. So,
Okay. So my decision, I surrendered. And what ends up happening in my ending is that Sean ends up going to jail. Daniel ends up going to live with the grandparents. And time has passed, and Daniel is getting out. I mean, Sean is getting out of jail. Daniel and the mom is going to go see him. They pick him up, and later on, they're back at in Seattle, at their house and everything. Um, and it gets to a point where like Daniel ends up crying and stuff. You know, he kind of breaks down and everything. Later on, they get to where Daniel and Sean is separating. So Sean drives off to a different place. Daniel, I think he uses his powers a little bit and then turns around and drives back home in a sense, or drives the other way. So they all split apart from there. But I ended up surrendering for mine,
mm,
uh, for that one. So that was my ending. So Celeste, you said you wanted to discuss something. You had some concerns.
I'm not very well versed on ICE or the Border Patrol. I don't know a lot about
Hmm.
that law. I actually have a friend who does it. She's not a Border Patrol agent, but she works like the administrative side, and she's told me just some different things. It's very interesting to get that point of view. That's all, but I digress. Okay, first of all, maybe someone listening can tell us, are border vigilantes real? Timmy said they are, because I was explaining, he didn't watch me
Yeah.
play that part because I was off for Columbus Day or Indigenous Peoples Day, and I was finishing up the game. And he said, "Oh yeah, there are people who do that at the border who just take the law into their hands." So that felt a little fantastical to me, but I guess it is
It,
accurate.
I did see a news piece on this. I believe it's down in Arizona along the border wall or
Okay.
border. Um, that yeah, people they have such few people guarding it. People actually go out and um, they patrol it themselves, and they I don't know if it's what do you call it, where um, you can take the law in your own hands
Hmm.
basically if something happens. Um, but you that's basically what they live by. They walk this their route, and they you know I don't know. I feel it's maybe it's I don't know if it's important to them, but I don't know what kind of dangers occur with that kind of stuff down there. I'm sure there are issues that we don't even fathom.
Yeah,
But
that's
um,
well, as we see in the game, they shoot a child. Like,
yeah,
that's something that can happen.
are they?
And
I don't know if they're taking it as like, is this an infestation type situation? People are coming through that don't belong here. You
mm,
know, I
Hmm.
get it. It's your home. You protect your home. Um, but the manner of it, I don't know. Maybe they definitely need to hire some kind of actual force that patrols this. I don't know.
that answers my question, I guess, because I was very surprised that the border wall was not heavily guarded. Maybe not the whole
Hmm.
thing is patrolled like you're saying,
Yeah,
but when Daniel's breaking it, I thought there might be people at least on the other side from Mexico, and I don't know. I just had it just again, it's a video game, and you have to have a little bit of suspension of disbelief, but
Hmm.
that's it. I'm like, okay, what are your plans as well? Because you need a passport to enter a foreign country. How were they going to survive in Mexico? They don't have a passport.
yeah,
At least I don't. Did we ever find out if they have some kind of passport? I don't think they do. They're running and gunning.
yeah.
They're heading there.
That,
Would word have not gotten out that, oh, their father is from Porto Lobos?
No.
Maybe they're there, and we're going to let people in Mexico, like someone in the United States is going to be communicating with people in Mexico, like be on the lookout for these brothers. We think they might be heading there because we hear about that in the United States. Like, oh, there are people who, some famous people for whatever reason are heading into the United States. Keep an eye out. Like if somebody, I've heard about it from other states where like, oh, there's someone who kidnapped somebody. Like, what is it, the Amber Alerts, for example?
yeah.
For
Yeah.
children missing, we get those. That's what, again, suspension of disbelief.
And there might be some disconnect too because this Don't Nod, who made this game, is a French company.
True.
So you don't fully grasp what's going on here, and I don't even think the people in the United States fully grasp what's going on. We even made the
Hmm.
point of you didn't know there was border people that self border patrolled.
Hmm.
Um, we we don't, and you're the closest one to Arizona. So if you don't even know that, that's that's you know what I mean. It's just,
Yeah,
it's 2 states away, and
I
it's
didn't know that.
yeah. So it you humans like to revolve in their own area, their own world, and I feel that this is evident right there that it's just the world is big, but we don't make it big. We just deal with the problems that we have and
Exactly.
try
Like,
not to deal with problems that everyone else is dealing with.
yeah, like if it, so there's where I live because it's kind of close to Mexico. Like if we ever, whenever Timmy and I travel and we go to rest stops in the bathrooms, let me know if this is the situation in your areas too. In the bathrooms, on the door, it'll say, "Are you being held against your will, like for human trafficking?" Like there will be posters with helplines in case someone is being kidnapped to be trafficked.
Nope, not for
Outstanding.
us.
Because we're close to the border, and I hate to say it, that happens. I mean, I haven't experienced it personally, but it does. I guess because we are close to the border, they want to have those resources available to people, like if a child or a woman or anybody, a man, whoever is kidnapped, and they're allowed to go to the bathroom, they you know,
Mm.
That's interesting. Like, because
Yeah.
we're close to the Canadian border, and I don't think I've ever seen anything, you know,
Yeah.
close
I
that's
to
what I
haven't seen
was.
that.
nothing like that.
But I have a friend who lives in Florence, South Carolina, and she was telling me that human trafficking is big over there because of the where they're located against a certain highway. So where I live, we have highway. Is it the I-10? It spans from like all across, like from
Yeah,
California all the way to Florida. So I hate to say, it would make sense that that would be a big human trafficking route.
yeah,
If I know for us, if we're going like on 294 or I
I
94,
94.
like yeah, if we were going to rest stops that was like going on there, we may see it, but that's about it. Like even um when I was going to Minnesota, and we go do some of the rest stops in Wisconsin, I didn't see any.
I did not. I don't see any in Wisconsin. I don't
That's
recall seeing
interesting.
anything. Though I've heard things like you got to be careful on 41s are big
Oh, that's your
highway,
big highway.
Yeah.
Okay.
and that goes all the way up through Upper Michigan. It goes all the way down basically um, towards the south. Uh,
Okay.
that I've heard like in Milwaukee and other areas leading up to Chicago that those are places you should be watching your kids really well, and you should
Yeah.
have at all times be with your kid. And even if you're with your kid, there's like I've heard scary stories about more than one person trying to get your kid, even
Oh
though
my
you're there. So
God.
yeah,
But
it's upsetting.
it's so sad too because there are a lot, and again, I don't know everybody's personal situation. There could be people operating illegally here for all I know and
Yeah.
doing horrible things, but we have a big Hispanic population, and I don't, I patron these restaurants where sometimes the people, I have to use like a Google Translate
Hmm.
because they speak just Spanish, and I don't, and it's not my job. I'm not ICE, okay? Are you here to make a better life? And like the people in the game, I don't know, like I'm not sure, but because I am so much closer to the border, I know it's a big problem. Oh, problem's the right word, a big issue, a big point of contention in Texas, especially because
Hmm.
they're so close to the border, where they're closer than I am. I tried, but it's like you're saying, Shane, like I've been told that I'm a woman, and I keep an eye out. I won't go certain places at night, whether you're Hispanic, white, black, Asian. I don't care. I don't know.
Yeah.
God, we are getting into, again, this game covers some topics.
Hmm.
I don't even know where I'm going with this. Yeah, but
I could definitely see that being some part of another Life is Strange game,
right.
something like
Yeah.
that.
But that's
And
interesting about what you brought up about Milwaukee.
yeah,
Again, well, because I don't know, because we have our own stuff going on here and then you're worrying
Hmm.
about your own stuff going
yep,
on over there.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think you had mentioned I don't know if it was the last episode we did. We You said something about the powers, and that would make a good topic. So I actually have a Life is Strange banter piece for our site that I'll probably put out next month. So
Oh, I'm so excited.
Nice.
yeah. So I just chose three powers I thought would be interesting and how they would work, and so I can't wait to see another Life is Strange after the True Colors. So.
Which is there's just our next game. But before we get into that, what
I
is
know
our
we could spend like 5 hours
I
on
know.
these games.
We like talking about this. This is a good. I don't know. This is a good series. So
It is.
go
where
ahead.
where two things. What did we think of this game completely? Did we enjoy it? And where would we rank it if we were ranking the Life is Strange games? We know there is four and a half because of the Adventures of Captain Spirit. Uh, but where would you rank this? Like, what is your personal list of where you would put stuff? Uh, so I'm gonna start with you.
Okay. So, within the last year, as people probably know, like it's been a bit stressful, but things have, calmed down for us. But this game is very stressful. So no, and it's fun. I love it. I love it. But I'm kind of like at a point where I'm trying to play calm games. I love
Hmm.
some drama, of course, but this game, I will say, I think it is very much worth playing. Great storytelling. Uh, Lots of questions I have. There are some imperfections. And then Shane talked about the glitches that has to be annoying. I played it on PS4. I think it's worth playing. If you are sensitive to some of the trigger things we talked about, actually at the end of the game, I noticed they do bring up, here's a resource. If there's anything covered in this game that upsets you, we want to hear about it, or here's some resources for you, maybe like suicide helplines, or I don't know. I'm sure there are organizations that exist for um, immigrants or children of immigrants or people who,
Hmm.
but it drove me crazy. And I'm sure this happens. Like you just look at somebody and they look Spanish, and you're assuming they're an immigrant, like we see in this game. And Sean and Daniel are citizens; they are United States citizens. And where I live, French was a very common language, and my great grandparents was actually beaten out of them in school. They were American citizens, but they also had the French ancestry, and that's why I am not fluent in French, because it was like I studied it, but not to that extent like Sean. But yes, I think you should play this game. I think you have to be aware of there will be some upsetting moments, though. It's you have to be in the right mindset to play this game.
And where would you rank it? Like, what is your ranking looking like?
Out of all the Life is Strange games, or like you mean like what level? Like a 5, a
From
10?
what we have played right now, we won't add True Colors yet. That's going to be the last one.
Okay, I haven't played it
But
yet.
out of Life is Strange 1, Before the Storm, and 2, how would you place those 3 games in your ranking? Like, what is your top and what is your bottom?
That's a hard question because they're all so different. This one deals. The other games deal with real life situations as well. I think I prefer, out of all of those, the first Life is Strange. Would be the first,
Okay.
then Before the Storm, then Life is Strange 2.
Okay. All right. For me, yes, I would say play this game. I think it's really good. The first and second episode struggles. It's suffering. It's going to make you upset. It's going to make you mad. But stick with it till you get to episode 3, because 3, 4, and 5 I think really pays off. And I think this game kind of has a lot of good replayability to see what choices that you make. Like, if you play the whole game and you did the good stuff good, then you could go in and do the bad choices and everything. Like, just be straight. Just be straight evil. Like I think that's gonna be my because I think I'm gonna do the second playthrough after I do True Colors. I literally want to go in and be straight rude. I might even do that for True Colors.
I want to be bad by Willa Ford.
Yes, I just want to be an evil person. So, I think if I had to, I think I would probably say that I think I would put this one as number 1 before this. No,
See, it's hard.
I think I would put this as number 1, Before the Storm as 2, and then Life is Strange 1 as the last one, because I think I did not like the last chapter in 1.
See, it affected him so much he froze again, Shane. That's a serious pose for Ed right there.
Yeah.
Nice. I forgot to put in my Ethernet cord in my Xbox. I'll do that for Power Block. Yeah, I think 2 is the top one. I think Before the Storm is the mid, and then Life is Strange 1 is gonna be my last, because Life is Strange 1, they dragged that ending. They really just like, y'all fell out of ideas and y'all dragged it. At least with Life is Strange 2, you could suffer, do some things. I know what they're trying to do is set it up, but really episode 3 to 5, all of that happens really brings you into the game. And then Before the Storm is just some DLC that's good, that's acceptable. So that's my ranking. Shane, you have the final word in ranking.
And the
What do
right
you think
word.
about this game, and where would you rank it?
I have the exact same lineup as Celeste. Life is Strange 1, for me, the mystery behind it, what was going on, not knowing what was going on, playing it for the first time and not realizing what to expect, and also the music. Life is Strange 1's music is my favorite. And Before the Storm comes in second, because Firewalk is like top tier for me. The Life is Strange 2, though I enjoyed most of it, I had the most issues with it, with glitches. Not to say that's anybody's fault, but I the game, ju- though I enjoyed it a lot, just had a lot of ups and downs that felt that I was standing still, then running a marathon, standing still, running a marathon. And um, also, this is the only game that is not central located. This game is a on the road travel type game, and
Hmm.
I don't know why I enjoyed Arcadia Bay as a setting. I enjoy True Colors when we talk about that their setting. It's stationary. You don't go that far. There's some locations you can visit, and I think I enjoyed that more than the whole travel on the road to a destination that you weren't even sure where you were going to go.
Hmm.
Um, though that's part of the adventure and that's part of the whole name of the game, Life is Strange. It's just, it wasn't my favorite go through of it. Though, again, I really enjoyed the game.
Hmm.
Um,
Hmm.
and then I guess I have a few more Easter eggs too that I was going to share too. If
Yeah, bring them.
um, okay, let's see it. So Victoria from the first game also leaves a note for David, and thanks David for rescuing her in the bunker. So I thought that was like really awesome because she wasn't a very nice person in the first
Hmm.
game. So um, and then what was the other one? So I learned this. There was a live action commercial for Life is Strange too, and you should look it up. It's based off the motel that Daniel and Sean go to, and Sean's like getting ice or something out of the vending machine, and then that's when the Daniel finds out about his dad, and so it's just like a really cool live action commercial about that portion of the game. So I didn't know that until like last week. I was just reading about things about the game and just looking up some stuff, and the commercial came up, and I'm like, oh, I didn't even know this was part of it. Like that's cool advertising to me. So um, and then I don't know if this is like um, I don't even know how to say this, but Brody, I heard this whole rumor that he was a Prescott, even though his name is listed on there,
Oh.
that he wanted to reject his family and go on the road. And there's some other um, person that I forgot his name. He took all his money that he got for college and he donated it and just got a car and lived in his car and drove around the U.S. Apparently that's what they were trying to base him off of, and I don't know if that's true, but it would be kind of interesting if he was a Prescott and trying to redeem his family's name. So
That's a great theory, Shane, because it makes
yeah,
sense if you
Hmm.
read his blog.
yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I think his name on the blog was like Holloway or something like that. But yeah, I just came across this theory that he was potentially a Prescott and changed his name and wanted
Dang.
to be a better person, so
I
than
love
his
Brody.
family. So
I love him.
Yeah. Uh,
yeah,
so that so everybody, just to let you know, the games that we covered actually from Don't Nod was Life is Strange 1, 2, and Before the Storm, and Tell Me
oh,
Why. Uh,
Before the Storm was by Deck Nine. So
oh, it was Deck 9. That is right.
yeah,
Sorry about that.
Yeah.
Because Deck 9 did Life is Strange 3. Um, we don't know what else is happening with Don't Nod because Microsoft's owned them at this time. So hopefully we can see a future game for them. But to let everybody know, our next Talk the Walk is Life is Strange 3 True Colors. And then following, ending the year of 2022, is going to be Detroit Become Human. So
Oh
be
boy.
ready for that. Oh, Celeste, you just don't know. I'm ready. I'm about to start True Colors, but then once True Colors is done, I'm restarting Detroit Become Human because I emotionally have to prepare myself for this game because
yeah,
it's oh this th- be everybody just if you do not know about Detroit Become Human. It was a game by Quantic Dreams. It was their last game for PlayStation. Um, Pick it up and give that game a try. Give that game a play and get ready because the game is emotionally is going to wreck you at times, but it's so engaging still. But Shane, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Still Sane Shane and on Boss Rush Network and on others of the podcasts with my articles and podcasts.
Yes. So that's where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Fairy Crypt. I'm along with Shane. I'm a part of Another Zelda podcast. We have articles, we have fun episodes. Both of us are in some of those episodes for Another Zelda podcast. And I'm with Boss Rush Network here with Talk the Walk, and I help host the 1v1 interview series.
You guys can find me on Twitter at that Retrocode and on Instagram. You can also check out more of Boss Rush content at bossrush.net and on our YouTube page. You can find me on Nintendo Pod Block, Nintendo Expansion Pass, Talk the Walk, and other podcasts here on Boss Rush. And also check out our like Shay said articles and writings at bossrush.net. I do some of the reviews. I do some of the news when I get a chance. And I also participate in some of the banners. I got to get this new one out. I've actually got to get this Halloween one out. But by the time you guys see this, Halloween has already passed.
Yeah.
But everybody, that is going to be it for this Talk the Walk. Life is Strange 2. We do recommend you guys play it if you are interested in hearing this discussion. I know there's some things that we didn't cover, and we want you guys to explore. Go find that out and everything. But if you have played the game, hopefully you enjoyed this discussion. With that, everybody, we will see you next time for Talk the Walk. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.